মহিমা তব উদ্ভাসিত মহাগগন মাঝে বিশ্ব জগৎ মণিভূষণ বেষ্টিত চরণে আনন্দ লোকে মঙ্গলালোকে বিরাজ সত্য সুন্দর সমানো মন্ত্র সমিতি সমানি সমান মনসঃ চিত্ত মেষা আসঙ্গচ্ছদং সংবদধ্বং সংগো মনা সিজানতাম গ্রহতারক চন্দ্র তপন ব্যাকুল দ্রুত বেগে গ্রহতারক চন্দ্র তপন ব্যাকুল দ্রুত বেগে করেছে পান করেছে স্নান অক্ষয় কিরণে আনন্দ লোকে মঙ্গলালোকে বিরাজ সত্য সুন্দর সমানি বয়াকুতি সমানা হৃদয়ানি সমানি বয়াকুতি সমানা হৃদয়ানি সমান বস্তু মনো যথাব আসু সহসতি সংগচ্ছদং সংবদধ্বং সংগো মনা সৃজানতাম ধরণী পর ঝরে নির্ঝর মোহন মধু শোভা ধরণী পর ঝরে নির্ঝর মোহন মধু শোভা ফুল পল্লব গীত গন্ধ সুন্দর বরণে আনন্দ লোকে মঙ্গলালোকে বিরাজ সত্য সুন্দর।
Good evening to everyone present. We are highly honored to have the respected guests in our midst, and we are about to begin. So we will begin today's discussion with an inaugural note from our President, Dr. Prashanta Kumar Giri.
Jai Sri Ramakrishna. To all members in this assembly, I convey my love, best wishes, and respectful namaskar. You have kindly gathered here this afternoon to participate in a stimulating discussion that will focus on the current state of equity and inclusivity in India. I do, on behalf of the Nanritam family, extend to you all a warm welcome to this seminar. The discussion will cover critical areas like health, education, nutrition, livelihood, and migration. I learned that participants include grassroots representatives from Jammu and Kashmir, Sundarbans, urban poor from Howrah's slums, Sobor community of West Bengal, and labor organization in tea gardens, besides representatives from government and non-government sectors specializing in the areas that mentioned just now. It is heartening to note that the discussion will also feature some esteemed educationists and intellectuals from India and abroad, forming a diverse panel with a wealth of knowledge and experiences. I pray to Divine Mother for grand success of this seminar. Before I depart, I would love to introduce to you some learned persons coming from very faraway places to be present here with us. Professor Kaushik Basu, a very well-known and most valued personality in the Nanritam community. He is truly our mentor. Professor Basu holds the position of Professor of Economics and the Karl Marx Professor of International Studies at Cornell University. He served as the President of the International Economic Association with a term extending from 2017 to 2020. In his previous roles, he served as the Senior Vice President and Chief Economist of the World Bank from 2012 to 2016, and as the Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India from 2009 to 2012. Renowned for his contribution to development economics, industrial organization, game theory, and welfare economics, Professor Basu has published extensively. In addition to his academic pursuits, Professor Basu has shared his insights with a broader audience through popular articles in famous magazines and newspapers. Frankly speaking, to describe his activities, it will take hours, if not days. We are just mentioning few points. Professor Andrew Wilford, sitting here next to Professor Basu, Professor of Anthropology at Cornell University. Professor Andrew Wilson is Professor of Anthropology at Cornell University, and his scholarly work delves into the psychological and phenomenological aspects of selfhood, identity, and subjectivity within the context of power and statecraft. With a focus on Tamil displacement, revivalism, and identity politics in Malaysia and India, he did a lot of research work. Again, he studied the top politics of language, religion, identity, and belonging in Bangalore, spanning a 20-year period. His ongoing research centers on mental health, psychiatry, neurology, religious traditions in both North America and India. As a Fulbright Senior Research Fellow at the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences in Bangalore, he investigated urban psychiatry in Bangalore and faith-healing traditions in indigenous communities within the Nilgiris Biosphere Reserve. He has also contributed to various books. Professor Pulin B. Nayak. Professor Nayak, an esteemed economist at Delhi School of Economics, boasts an impressive academic journey. Holding a PhD in economics from the University of Rochester, he specializes in public economics and economic theory. With an illustrious career, he has served in various capacities. Notably, he held positions at institutions like the University of Pittsburgh, St. Antony's College, Oxford, Reserve Bank of India, and Planning Commission, contributing significantly to research on optimal taxation, Indian public finance, and economic theory. His impactful work has been recognized with prestigious honors and fellowships, including the Agatha Harrison Memorial Fellowship. Sri Nipun Prabhakar. Sri Prabhakar is a multifaceted individual, seamlessly blending his passion for photography with a commitment to community development. As a photographer, he specializes in documentary, architecture, and fine art photography. Beyond photography, Nipunji is a dedicated barefoot architect, dedicating a portion of his time to working directly with communities. Nipun's work stands as a testament to the power of visual storytelling and the profound impact that individuals can have when bridging the worlds of art and community service. Thank you all once again for your participation in this seminar. May our presiding deity, Ma Sarada Devi, bless us all.
So now we would like the most beloved member of Nanritam family, the one who has been with Nanritam from the very first day, former Chief Secretary of West Bengal, Shri Ashok Mohan Chakraborty, to introduce Nanritam to the guests who have been here for the first time. Sir, please.
My hearty welcome to the eminent educationists, other distinguished guests, the supporters and sponsors of Nanritam, and all those who are present here, all of you who have taken active roles in the growth of Nanritam and in spreading the ideas that Nanritam stood for. Well, it has been my great fortune to remain associated with this organization almost from the very beginning, and it has been a marvelous experience for me. I recall, I suppose it was in 2002, Nanritam began its journey. Prior to 2002 also, some skeleton services were there. Dr. Bharati Bokshi and Ms. Ranjana Sengupta, with few other doctors, Dr. Ashish Chatterjee, they would come all the way from Kolkata, treat patients, not only eye, other ailments also, and in the evening they would go back to Kolkata. There was nothing in this area. I am a witness to it. There was no tree. In fact, we had problems in finding a shed in hot summer days when the doctors would examine the patients. There was only one dilapidated thatched structure there with 2 rooms. The doctors would sit inside, and we would find difficulties in finding a shed because there was no tree. Then the eye hospital came up. It made a small beginning, but over the years, the Lokeshwarananda Eye Foundation is recognized as one of the pioneer centers for eye treatment, including cataract operation, glaucoma, screening of patients, cornea-related diseases, particularly for the poor, particularly for the weaker segments of the society, economically and socially. Till date, I suppose more than 120,000 cataract operations have been performed in this hospital, and it gives me immense pleasure to share the information with you that 95% of the patients came from poor families, and the entire procedures, including giving them proper glasses, was free for them. That was the motto with which Nanritam was set up. To help all, to support all, be a role model for others, but primarily to support the people in difficulties and ameliorate their lifestyles. Apart from treating the patients, this eye hospital is now recognized as the nodal hospital for several districts in this area. In the initial years, along with eye treatment, Nanritam would also support small groups, mainly groups of women, in their efforts to improve their livelihood by small industries, small business. Nanritam would collect the finished product and give them direct assistance in marketing these products through exhibitions, through existing shops, and a large number of women, not only in Purulia district, elsewhere also, directly benefited from these support programs of Nanritam. You see, it was basically in the nature of adding to the family income. Maybe the family owns 3 or 4 acres of land. Land is not high yielding land here. So through small business, through animal husbandry, you add another 1000 rupees to the family. I had seen the great enthusiasm that was generated those days among the beneficiaries of this program. Nanritam also took up over the years, it's for, I suppose, for 16 to 18 years, Nanritam has been supporting the local farmers. The local farmers have a strong affinity for growing paddy. Everywhere the soil is not ideal for growing paddy. It takes lot of patience and lot of efforts to introduce alternative crops to them. The agricultural officers of Nanritam would visit the villages, spend hours with the local farmers, explain to them how they could increase their income, augment their income by switching over to alternative crops. I had also visited some of the agricultural fields those days. You see, the scientific way of cultivation was not known to many farmers. The agriculturist officers of Nanritam would go to villages, explain them the procedure of planting the seeds, nurturing the plants, and Nanritam also directly, it was direct assistance, directly assisted them in procuring good quality of seeds, fertilizers and manures. Here in this complex, there were couple of demonstration plots, and the farmers were invited to come and see things for themselves, how the yield could be increased many times by using good seeds and judicious use of manure and fertilizer. On this day, also Nanritam is maintaining several nurseries in the rural areas, in Purulia and adjoining areas, where good quality of saplings and seeds are available to the local farmers. I am told there are intentions to expand the program in the coming days. And this school project has been really a dream project. I remember those days when the school was set up. Only 2 classes. There were, I suppose, Dr. Bokshi will correct me. To begin with, there were 3 teachers. Dr. Bokshi and Ranjana would spend their entire day there and bring up, I use the word bring up, the teachers, tell them how to communicate to the tiny tots, class 1 and I think KG1 and nursery, or KG1 and KG2. It was stupendous task to first introduce school-going habits to them, and then for this Felix School of Education, Nanritam has always believed that learning should be a joyful activity. So from the very beginning, I recall, I have seen Dr. Bokshi playing with the small tiny tots in their fancy dresses to make them happy, make them cheerful. That KG1 and nursery has now become a full-fledged high school, and the state of West Bengal takes pride in Felix School of Education. It was my good luck to be able to interact with the principal and teachers and students of this school. Apart from the curricular activities, the syllabus, that the students are encouraged in lots of other extracurricular activities. The method, Professor Kaushik Bose was also very kind. He had direct interaction with some of our students. When he comes, usually he visits the school. From the first day, the main forces behind the school, Dr. Bokshi, Ranjana, they have supported the spirit of the students to ask questions, make queries, and explain things with models and charts to make their concepts clear. In 2023, in CBSE, the students of this school performed very well, and now the STEM lab is coming, mobile making lab is coming up. What impressed me most was the involvement of the teachers and the students in all these learning activities. Earlier I had occasions to oversee the running of schools and colleges when I was in service. Such instances are very, very few. You see, 2023 results were so good. With an asterisk, I must mention that no student was required to take the help of private tutors. In Calcutta and elsewhere, a student of class 8, 9, 10, 11, these days they require private tutor support for almost all subjects, and the bill goes up, and that is the initial stage when there are discriminations between students coming from well-off families and the poor students. Here the students were discouraged to take help of private tutors. Our teachers, after a hard day's work, would take extra classes, would sit down with the students in the evening, explain to them areas where they are not very clear in their concepts. I think this is again I am saying I am somewhat familiar with the education scenario in West Bengal. In most places, the attitude is, my school is open for 200 days in a year. To the extent possible, we will cover the syllabus, rest of it you fend for yourself. Here, not only the covering the syllabus, the weak students were helped to come at level with the good students. And the spirit still continues. Now, the senior students, Nanritam, I suppose without any extra costs, have made arrangements for them to stay here, avail of tuition, consult teachers anytime they like. The activities of Nanritam in both health and school education over the years have spread much beyond the Para and Borondanga areas. For last 1.5 years or 2 years or so, they are pursuing a novel program, a brilliant program, Education for All. Far away in Ladakh, in Jharkhand district, in different districts in West Bengal, the teachers of Felix School of Education, they held camps with the teachers and strengthened their efforts to teach the students. There's a manual, Nanritam has developed a manual and a wonderful textbook for help of the teachers to make their concepts clear. And the West Bengal police had supported the health program actively. I don't know, education program, whether they played, they did, na? They did, wonderful. Now, we have very eminent people present here. Your time permitting, kindly take a look at the manuals developed by Nanritam for adding to the efficiency of students and teachers. We have received very positive feedbacks from some of the districts, from the teachers, how this camp helped them in doing their job better. I hope, I pray to my God that these activities of Nanritam would further spread in the coming years. Recently, the Hope project has been taken up for the Sabar community in Purulia. Now the Sabars are, I had served in this district on 2 occasions. Sabars are, well, now these days sociologists don't use the term criminal tribes, but at one point of time they were known as criminal tribes. They did not have access to health, education, nutrition, and people had hardly any interaction with them. Now this Sabar community, Nanritam, is supporting these communities in health, education, nutrition education, livelihood. So far the program has been a grand success, and I do hope that with support of the sponsors of Nanritam, in other difficult areas, similar projects should be taken up and benefit lots of people. I would request you kindly take a look at the manuals developed by Nanritam. Lastly, in no published literature, Nanritam talks about this great achievement, sustainability of the programs. Because I have been lucky to be with Nanritam almost from the first day, from the beginning of the work of this organization in this area. I have seen at close length how, unnoticed by everybody, the local leadership grew up. Nanritam, through its health activities, through its education activities, income generation activities, over the years Nanritam could develop a cadre of very honest, dedicated, highly efficient workers. And today, well, Dr. Bokshi, Ranjana Sen Gupta, Dr. Dotto, Dr. Chatterjee, they seem to be as busy as they were earlier, but I find now, for lots of things, they can trust their juniors, young boys, 28, 29, 30 boys and girls. These young people have taken over a lot of the responsibilities, and that gives hope to me and to all of us that in the coming years the programs of Nanritam would continue, would add more features to it. These boys and girls, they remain in the background, but the development that has taken place in last 15 years through work is unbelievable. If you get a chance, you can interact with some of these boys and girls who are now occupying very responsible position and who are taking the glorious tradition of Nanritam ahead with dedication, honesty, sincerity. Our sponsors, the distinguished guests who are present here, are already familiar with Nanritam, and we have received a lot of encouragement from them. I do believe that in the coming years, their support, their encouragement will be with Nanritam. Kindly suggest areas where you think further improvements could be made, and your guidance, your support, your words of encouragement, those are already there, would be of great strength to Nanritam. I thank all of you, and I hope that in the coming days, your close support and guidance would be available to all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We are honored. We will also want to acknowledge Dr. Jimal Unni, who is with us, an academic stalwart who has spared her time to visit us. Thank you, ma'am. We would move to the FGD now. We have our Joint Secretary, Sri Sharada Prasad Namhata, who would introduce all of us to the topic of the focus group discussion, and we'll take it forward from there. Sir.
Good evening. Well, again, I think thanks Prashantoda and MC Sir for introducing, and on behalf of Nanritam, to our distinguished guests and other participants here. I know that we have all gathered here and we are very lucky in such a remote corner. Such a great discussion is about to take place. And today's discussion topic is about the equitability and the inclusiveness of grassroots society, a topic which is almost inseparable from the journey of the majority of our countries or the entire nation to say. We have a big number of people here who will be participating in this discussion, and true to the spirit of Nanritam, we will have actually not a debate. We're going to have an informal discussion. So solution focused. Nanritams, as you heard from everybody and probably realize and experience, that our all objective is not to complain, not to say what things are not working all right. We know those, we recognize those, but our whole objective is how and what can we do to find a solution, whatever small that might be, how we can do that, and how can we do that by taking everybody on the stride. So true to the spirit of solution-focused objective, we will have our discussion today. And essentially today, as we heard, we have all the stalwart thought leaders here, pioneer practitioners from the grassroots and some grassroots soldiers. We'll not be able to give a room to discuss, to time to everybody to put their detailed points. We'll try to stay focused and hopefully everybody will chime in and give their input. We'll try to remain focused and time to time I might, with your kind permission, if needed, help you to get back to our discussion topic. We have essentially 2-3 things we are going to discuss today. How, as Prashant has already mentioned and NC sir has also mentioned, in the field of education, in the field of health, how would we take the grassroots society in an inclusive way, an equitable way, to create some solution. So essentially the so-called big discussion in the country of demo dividend, how do we empower and enable this demo dividend from the grassroots so they really truly become, they can unlock the potential that exists and we can really create the productive and passionate foundation for building forward. It's a big words, but I know everybody in Nanritam and all the people gathered here, they do sincerely work towards that objective in their own way. So today's objective would be to share those experiences, understand different intervention models or the ideas that we might have, so they can further build from those experiences and ideas. With that, I'll open up the floor, but let me very quickly, I know to the last 24-30 hours, people might have got introduced to each other. Neither I have time for the details, so please feel free during your talk to just, if you want to add one line about yourself. But still, I will just give a very high-level discussion, introduction to the people who will be participating. First, we'll have Jagannath Goswami. Jagannath will be representing Nanritam. Actually, he will represent the entire grassroots activities that Nanritam does. Then we'll have very eminent and very avid practitioners from the grassroots, Dr. Pappu. He will be there. Azmat and Pratusha, our 2 students, they will be also sharing the future citizens, they will be sharing their thoughts into that whole discussion. We'll have Ginle Wangchung Rinchen from Ladakh, Leh, where we are working together with their organization. He will be providing some of his input. From Kupawara, Kashmir, we have Istak and Isfaq, 2 of our friends who are working with Nanritam. They will bring in their thoughts and input. Then we will have Mamun Akhtar. Mamun is another our Nanritam friends, and Mamun is also very well known in the field of social development, in the Tikiapara, Howrahs, in the slum areas. He's working for years and trying to make a transformation there. We'll have Putul Chitrakar. Putul is there. Putul and her husband, they actually represent the Poto Chitra community of the nearby areas. So she will be providing her perspective a bit.
Pingla.
In Pingla area. Then we'll have Reverend Mukherjee, another economist and practicing economist in the field, in Sydney. He will be there. Then we'll have our student Purva, she will probably give one of her poetry and her question hours. But as I was just trying to introduce the names and the locations, you probably all got a glimpse that we try to represent a diverse society here from the very, eminent thought leaders, very avid practitioners, grassroots users and all. So this is going to be very lively discussion. Time is short, but we'll still try to accommodate and listen to everyone. We will not debate, we'll share, we'll try to understand and see what we can learn from each other and how the best models can be further built. So the proper interventions can be continued to be pursued so that even better Nanritam and better other organizations can be created to really make a difference in the grassroots, which is actually the call of the day. With that, I will, unless there is no other rules, we'll try to be informal, absolutely informal, and we'll just try to shorten the time, try to be pointed as much as we can, and then we can come back to clarification if needs to be. With that, I will ask Jagannath Goswami with us, and Jagannath to put his 2 points in 3-4 minutes.
এখানে বসে আমাদের খুব কাছের মানুষ সম্মানীয় অসম্মান চক্রবর্তী স্যারের কথাকে ধরেই মনে হচ্ছে একটা কথা বলতে, না চাহিতে মোরে যা করেছো দান, আকাশ আলোক তনু মন প্রাণ, দিনে দিনে তুমি নিতেছো আমায় সে মহাদানেরই যোগ্য করে। জানি না কতটা আমি যোগ্য, কিন্তু এটা বলতে পারি নানরিতাম ক্যাম্পাসে সত্যি এমনই একটা বাতাবরণ যেখানে অযোগ্যকেও যোগ্য করে নেওয়া হয়। স্যার বলছিলেন ডেডিকেটেড আমাদেরকে উদ্দেশ্য করে, আমরা কিন্তু একদম এই পুরুলিয়াটা যেমন আমরা সবাই বলছি পিছিয়ে পড়া একটা ডিস্ট্রিক্ট, তারই পাশে ডিস্ট্রিক্ট হচ্ছে বাঁকুড়া। বাঁকুড়ার এক প্রত্যন্ত গ্রাম থেকে উঠে আসা সাধারণ শিক্ষাগত যোগ্যতা নিয়ে সত্যি এখানে এই সভার মধ্যে বসার ক্ষমতা, শিক্ষা কোনোটাই আমার নেই, তাও এখানে আসন পেয়েছি সত্যি সেটা নানরিতামের দিদি স্যারদের একেবারে অনুপ্রেরণায় উৎসাহে। তো যাই হোক, ফিরে আসি আমাদের যে কারণে আজকে আমাদের আলোচনা, আমাকে স্যার দিদিরা যেটা বলেছেন যে আমরা সাধারণত ফিল্ডে আউটরিচে গিয়ে যে সমস্ত কাজকর্ম করি তারই কিছু অভিজ্ঞতা বলার জন্য এখানে। তো একটা কথা না বললে মাঝে হয়তো মিস করবো, তাই বলে রাখি, নানরিতাম একটা কর্মভূমি। নানরিতাম এই 10 জানুয়ারি আমাদের টেম্পল ফাউন্ডেশন ডে, মন্দিরের প্রতিষ্ঠা দিবস। প্রি কোভিডের আগে পর্যন্ত এই দিনে আমাদের নানরিতামের একটা আমরা বলতে পারি একটা মহা মিলনের দিন। আমাদের আশেপাশে 5 থেকে 10টা গ্রাম থেকে মানুষ নরনারায়ণ সবাই এসে এখানে প্রসাদ বিতরণের একটা ব্যবস্থা আমাদের ছিল। কোভিডের পরে আমরা সেটাকে এক জায়গায় না করে বিভিন্ন জায়গায় আমাদের যে সমস্ত আউটরিচ ক্যাম্প, এডুকেশন যে সমস্ত সেন্টার আছে সেখানে আমরা পাটে এই পর্যায়টা নিয়ে যাই। কিন্তু এবছর এখানে আমাদের একটা স্কুলের বাৎসরিক অনুষ্ঠানের জন্য মন্দিরে আমাদের তার রিহার্সেল পর্ব চলছিল। তো ঠাকুরের বিশেষ কৃপায় মন্দিরের পুজোর দিকটা অনেকটা দেখার সুযোগ হয়। সেই সুযোগের অধিকার নিয়ে দিদিকে জিজ্ঞাসা করি মন্দিরের প্রতিষ্ঠা দিবসে কতটা কি আমরা কাজ পুজো কি করবো, তখন দিদি বলে কর্মই ধর্ম। আমাদের এখন যে কর্মে আমরা নেমেছি বাৎসরিক অনুষ্ঠান স্কুলে, সেই অনুষ্ঠান আমরা যেন ভালোভাবে পাঠ করতে পারি। আমরা আবার ঠাকুর স্বামীজির কাছে একটা ভালো দিন দেখে আমরা মন্দিরের পূজা হোম যা করা সেটা করবো। কিন্তু যে যজ্ঞে নেমেছি সেই যজ্ঞটা আগে আমাদের উত্তীর্ণ হতে হবে। আমরা পুজো তো নিশ্চয়ই করবো। তো সত্যি তখন আরো একটা শিক্ষা পেলাম, দিনে দিনে শিক্ষার শেষ নেই। আরো একটা শিক্ষা পেলাম যে এই কাজের কর্মভূমি নানরিতামের আরো একটা দিক দেখতে পেলাম, যেটা বছরে বছরে হয়ে আসছে। সেটা দিদি কি সুন্দর ভাবে বুঝিয়ে দিলেন যে আমরা আর একটা দিন দেখে করতেই পারি, কিন্তু আমরা যে যজ্ঞে নেমেছি সেই যজ্ঞটা আমাদের করতে হবে। নানরিতামের 3টা আপাতত উইংস, শিক্ষা, স্বাস্থ্য এবং কৃষি। তিনটেরই অল্প বিস্তর দেখার সুযোগ হয়েছে। তো প্রথমেই যেটা বলবো, একেবারে সদ্য অঙ্কুরিত জাস্ট 3টে পাতা মিলেছে এরকম নান্দিতমের একটা প্রজেক্ট, যার নাম দেওয়া হয়েছে দা হোপ। দা হোপ এই প্রজেক্টে আমরা, স্যার যেটা বললেন, সবল কমিউনিটি, একদম সমাজ থেকে পিছিয়ে পড়া একটা কমিউনিটি, যে কমিউনিটিতে আমরা কাজ শুরু করেছি। তো কাজ শুরু করার প্রেক্ষাপটটা একটু আলোচনা করি। এই সবল কমিউনিটি সত্যি নিজেদের ভালো নিজেরা বোঝে না, যার জন্য গ্রামে স্কুল আছে কিন্তু স্কুলে বাচ্চারা যায় না। কেন যায় না যদি জিজ্ঞাসা করি, তাহলে তাদের কাছে আপাতত দৃষ্টিতে মনে হয় স্কুলে বাচ্চাকে পাঠানোর থেকে বাড়িতে সে যদি তার ভাই বোনেদেরকে যদি আগলে রাখে বা ছাগল চড়ায়, তাহলে তার বাড়িতে বোধহয় সোর্স অফ ইনকাম একটু সুবিধা হবে, আর্থিক সাহায্য হবে সেই বাচ্চাকে মাধ্যম করে। সুতরাং আপাতত দৃষ্টিতে স্কুল যাওয়া থেকে বাড়িতে কাজ করা খুব ভালো, মানে সেটাই তাদের সুবিধা। আবার যদি সেটা অন্য সম্প্রদায় যুক্ত স্কুল হয়, অর্থাৎ সেই স্কুলে যদি শহর গ্রামের বাচ্চা ছাড়াও যদি অন্য সম্প্রদায়ের বাচ্চারা পড়ে থাকে, তাহলে তার বলা নিবে, তাহলে তারা হয়ে যায় একেবারে এক ঘরে। এক ঘরে বলতে তার অনেকটা কারণ যদি শহরদের দিকে পড়ে, তার কারণ হিসাবে কেন তারা নিত্য স্নান করে না, তাদের ব্রাশ করার কোনো কনসেপ্ট নেই, তারা জামা কাপড়ে সভ্য জামা কাপড়ে অভ্যস্ত নয়, যে কারণে আর 5টা বাচ্চা থেকে তারা একটু নিজেরাই দূরে থাকে বা তারা মিশতে পারে না। আর এর ব্যতীত স্কুলের মাস্টারমশাইরাও নয়, স্কুলের শিক্ষকরাও নয়। আমাদের স্কুলের মাস্টারমশাইরা হয়তো রেগুলার আসে, কিন্তু বাচ্চা কেন রেগুলার আসে না সেটা স্কুলের শিক্ষকদের পক্ষেও সেই খোঁজ নেওয়া সম্ভব হয় না। সুতরাং বাচ্চারা এই অবস্থাতেই থাকে। তো আমরা এডুকেশন ফর অল গ্রামে কাজ করতে গিয়ে এই ধরনের কমিউনিটির সাথে আমাদের নান্দিতমের পরিচয় হয়। তো সেই সূত্রে আমরা সেই গ্রামে পৌঁছাই। তো এই মতো একটা চ্যালেঞ্জ আজকে এতদিন স্বাধীন ভারতের এত বছর পেরিয়ে যাওয়ার পরেও এমন বেশ শুধু হাতে গোনা নয়, অনেকগুলো গ্রাম যাদের কাছে বেসিক শিক্ষা এখনো পৌঁছায়নি। তো সেই সমস্ত গ্রামে আমরা চ্যালেঞ্জ নিয়ে আমরা শুরু করি। সকাল থেকে সন্ধ্যের অ্যাক্টিভিটি, সকালে আসবে, ব্রাশ করবে, স্নান করবে, আমাদের কাছে ব্রেকফাস্ট করবে, তাদেরকে তেল সাবান শ্যাম্পু দিয়ে স্নান করানো হয়। তারপর তাদেরকে একটা বেসিক এডুকেশন, যেটা আমরা এডুকেশন ফর অলের যে প্রোগ্রাম, সেই এডুকেশন ফর অলে তাদেরকে নিয়ে আসা হয়। প্রথম শুরু হয়েছিল আমরা দিদি যেটা ইনস্ট্রাকশন, প্রথমে খাবার, পেটে খাবার দিতে হবে, তারপর পড়াশোনা। তো আমরা খাবার দিই প্রথম এই প্রোগ্রামটা শুরু করি। তারপর একটা লেলিহান অগ্নিশিখার মতন একটা শব্দ, একটা কথা, চিরন্তন সত্য কথা ওদের কাছ থেকে বেরিয়ে এলো, ও মাস্টার তোমরা কি ছানাদেরকে খাবারই দিবে, নাই পড়াবে? তো সত্যিই তো, এবার তো পড়াতে হবে। তারপর শুরু হয় পড়া। কালকে স্যারকে নিয়ে গেছিলাম একটা গ্রামে, তখন তাদের বর্ণ পরিচয় শুরু হয়েছে, তারা আলফাবেট চিনতে শুরু করেছে।
Just to stop, I think this wonderful governor, the way that you have described how that whole project started and how from education for all you moved to this shower ground and very specific things that's happening, specific intervention that has. I think you were telling me in Nanritam, that's how you progressed. So you started from healthcare, ICAM gave you the connection. If you could just build a little bit how from the ICAM to education, the basic nature of in the way the model Nanritam evolves to touch people.
একদম স্যার যেটা বলেন, আমরা গর্বের সাথে বলতে পারি নান্দিতম আজকে 2008 থেকে আমরা এখানে পুরুলিয়াতে কাজ শুরু করি। আমার জন্ম নান্দিতমে 2011। তো আমাদের এই মুহূর্তে গর্বের সাথে বলতে পারি 4000 গ্রাসরুট ভলান্টিয়ার নান্দিতম তৈরি করেছে। তার বেশ কিছু ভলান্টিয়ার আমাদের আজকে সবাই এসেছে, তারা দূর থেকে এসেছে। আর আমরা এই ভলেন্টিয়ারদেরকে বেশ করে, যেমন আমরা প্রথম চোখের ক্যাম্প, যেখানে আমরা চোখের ক্যাম্প করি, হাসপাতালে বিভিন্ন জায়গা থেকে পেশেন্ট আসেন এখানে আমাদের চিকিৎসা করাতে। তো সেই ভলেন্টিয়ারদেরকে বেশ করে আমরা আমাদের নানা রকম অ্যাক্টিভিটিস, এগ্রিকালচার, এডুকেশন ফর অল, এই ধরনের প্রোগ্রামগুলো আমরা করি। তো এই প্রোগ্রাম করতে গিয়ে কিছু চ্যালেঞ্জের মুখে আমরা পড়ি, সেটা আমার মনে হচ্ছে এই মুহূর্তে একটু বলা দরকার। হাসপাতালে যখন আমরা কাজ করি, তখন দেখি শুরুতে সাধারণ মানুষের চোখে ছানি পড়েছে, অপারেশন করাতে যাব, অপারেশন করালে মানুষ ভালো দেখবে, আপনার ক্যাটারাক্ট। তো এটা মানুষকে বোঝাতে হতো, প্রচন্ড পরিমাণে বোঝাতে হতো। তো বুঝিয়ে তারা যখন ভালোভাবে দৃষ্টি ফিরে যাচ্ছে গ্রামে, তখন তাদেরকে দেখে অন্যান্য পেশেন্টরা আসতে শুরু করে। তো এটা যখন আমরা পুলিশের সহযোগিতাতে আমরা যখন আলিপুরদুয়ারে বা আদার্স ডিস্ট্রিক্টে যখন গিয়ে আমরা কাজ করছি, তখন সেই মুহূর্তে এটা একটা বিরাট চ্যালেঞ্জ আমাদের। সেই মুহূর্তে পুলিশও চিন্তা করছে যে এই ধরনের কমিউনিটি থেকে এরকম একটা দুটো নয়, পাশে ভর্তি করে আমরা 1000, 1500, 2000 পেশেন্টদেরকে আমরা গাড়ি করে নিয়ে আসছি, অপারেশন করাচ্ছি, পৌঁছে দিচ্ছি। এটাও একটা অবিশ্বাস্য ব্যাপার ছিল যে মানুষ এত ভালো দেখতে পাচ্ছে। তো এটা আমাদের শুরুতে আমাদের চ্যালেঞ্জ নিয়ে নামতে হয়েছিল। তো এবার হাসপাতালের এই যে আমরা পুলিশ এগিয়ে এলো, তার প্রেক্ষাপটটা হচ্ছে এই যে হাসপাতালের কোয়ালিটি, নান্দিতামের 5টা সার্ভিস কোয়ালিটির সাথে হাসপাতালের কোয়ালিটি দেখার একটা খুব সহজ সাধারণ উদাহরণ হচ্ছে যে যদি স্কুলের টিচার যদি তার ছাত্রকে স্কুলে ভর্তি করে, ডাক্তার তার পরিচিতদের যদি সেই হাসপাতালে অপারেশন করে, তাহলে নিশ্চয়ই কোয়ালিটি নিয়ে কোনো প্রশ্ন ওঠে না। আজ আমাদের লোকেশ আনন্দদায়ী ফাউন্ডেশনে আমাদের ওয়ার্কিং প্রেসিডেন্ট ডক্টর ভারতী বক্সী, ওনার চোখের ছানির অপারেশন কলকাতার খুব বড় হাসপাতালে হয়নি, পাড়ার আমাদের লোকেশ আনন্দদায়ী ফাউন্ডেশন পাড়াতেই হয়।
So Jagannath, just to not to stop you, so essentially you're saying the quality and being able to build the network in the community with volunteers, that has helped to continuously bring so the credibility of service and network in the community, and focusing on one problem, let's say through you have created community network and credibility. From that allowed you to take the education to the network, and from that one that is about community. So essentially it's a ring of different volunteers and associated groups and continuous, consistent, sincere service of quality. That has helped you to continue to go forward.
একদম স্যার।
Okay, good. Priyanka, you might want to just quickly, I'm going to cut you off, I might come back later, but Priyanka.
So I have summarized what Jagannath was saying in brief. So he introduced himself coming from a remote village in Bakura, which is a neighboring district. And he says there is nothing extraordinary about me, but it is Nanritam who has given me immense power and potential to go and help thousands of people around me. So he particularly focused on the Hope project, the backward Shabor community. The places, the villages that were visited, the children do not go to school. The parents prefer children looking after their siblings or spending their time grazing goats. So there is basically no awareness about the importance of education. And even if the children go to school, they are ostracized there. They don't bathe, they don't brush or clean themselves. Other children don't welcome them to school. And the government schools that are there, the teachers are not bothered why the children remain absent from school. So this community has been cut off from basic education. And in all the 13 villages that have been visited, not even a handful of children go to school. So Nanritam, Jagannath being in the spearhead, has started nutrition centers in 3 of these villages. And the children drop in early in the morning, they spend the entire day here, they feed, they clean themselves, take the bath, and now with the introduction of nutrition and hygiene, the demand for education is gradually coming. So we have this demand from the villagers that now it's time, please start educating our children. So it's an incredible transformation that has taken place in a span of a few weeks. From being totally cut off from education, there has been a demand for education. Jagannath also pointed out at the eye camps, the community eye camps, which are organized by Nanritam since 2008, and a network of 4,000 grassroots volunteers who actually made this community outreach eye camps and even the education for all project possible. So the network of volunteers, they have actually explained the people who were earlier very reluctant to come and get their eyes operated. They thought that cataract was a natural aging process. They did not believe that, and a simple 5-minute operation can cure them. But now we are actually liaising with the West Bengal police, and people don't need much convincing. They are coming from Purulia and also our neighboring district, and also we have worked in the tea plantations of North Bengal. So in a span of a few months, thousands of people have got back their eyesights, and the quality of the hospital, Lokeshwarananda Eye Foundation, is also incredible. So Jagannath says that none of the campus here who live in the campus ever go to any institution outside the campus for eye checkup or education. So that actually supports the fact that we are maintaining quality. We are not seeking either healthcare, eye care or education to any other institutions, and that is what makes Nanritam special. So this is what I think Jagannath wanted to say.
Thank you, Priyanka, for doing the translation. Time is short, but if there is any clarifying question from the panel, distinguished panel, we can take that. Otherwise, we'll move on.
The listeners, audience.
Yeah, if there is any clarification question, we'll come back to this topic after we gather a little bit more points. But still, if there was any, since he spoke in Bengali and all, if there is any particular clarifying queries from any side. Looks like fine. Yeah, we can move on. So, Dr. Papu, please. And Dr. Papu, just a one-line introduction about yourself and your work. Good. So that already.
Not much, but by practice I am a medical doctor with public health training, and almost all my 50 odd years of work has been. Yeah. It's alright, I feel comfortable. It's alright if I stand and.
Whatever you feel.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to see everyone. So, I've been learning. I've been a learner. I continuously learn, and this learning had always come to me from the villages, from the slums, and from esteemed colleagues like yourself. The work I am going to relate, before that, let me just tell you how we came to doing this work with the girls in Jharkhand. I'll transport you just across the border 100 kilometers, what we are doing. My last assignment as part of a formal job with UN, we were helping the four state governments in setting up their newborn care services. At that point in time, around 2006, 7, 8, the concepts were known, but the practices were not there on ground. So we were helping four poorly performing governments in setting up the newborn care. The community part we had started off with, and then in the hospitals we were setting up 6 newborn care units. From those of you who are from non-health background, these are basically ICUs for newborns who are very small for day or have some issues for which they have to be kept. So we had done this in 4 states, and that expanded to entire state in Rajasthan and in Madhya Pradesh to almost 50%. All that was done. That was part of our job. But what I started observing again and again in all these states, that with the small
children, the small little ones, were being brought by small girls who themselves were children. And they had no business to be married, and they had no business to be having children. So then I retired from my formal job, but I didn't retire from my work. It made me kept me thinking how, and through health, what can we do? We cannot do much. It has to be beyond health. So we chose Jharkhand, which has the highest child bride in the country, and we said we will work with girls who have dropped out because in the age range of 15 to 20, and we will get them back to education system so that they are there, and then the marriage will be delayed, the childbearing will be delayed, and at least our limited purpose of addressing this particular target group, we thought let us start with that. There are many larger issues, and the long-term issues is what Mr. Jagannath said. It's long-term work with primary school and beyond. It cannot be at that stage, but this was an emergency operation, so to speak. We have to save these girls, because what we have realized, and all of you have realized, and many of you have written books, that the downward spiral that they go, once these young girls get married, it's very well documented. I don't need to tell you about all that. So what we did, we chose 3 blocks in Jharkhand, next to Ranchi, about 35 to 40 kilometers, and we did some surveys to see how many girls were out of school, and we tried to bring them first to 2 centers, and we wanted it to be located closer to the girls so that they don't need to go far away, and at this age they're anyway not allowed. And all the high schools, unfortunately in Jharkhand, even today, several kilometers away, and so the girls naturally drop out. My first impression, walking through one village, I saw in every house there was a girl, either washing the utensils or doing something or sitting idle, all around 15 to 16 years old. And the school was bang opposite. I could see from there the road which went through their village, but that's middle school. So I asked, they said they all went to the middle school till class 8, but after that we don't have high school. So, and you won't believe we opened a center there because it was such a obvious, visible problem. A few changes that I have noticed over the last, I had worked in earlier also with girls and their education. There was a lot of resistance from parents. Now we didn't see much resistance from parents. The parents said, ले जाइए ना, ले जाइए, पढ़ाइए. This is a major shift in our, if I can say in the country, because it's in a very difficult part of the country. If they can say that, पढ़ाइए, भेजेंगे. But there was a but, because most of these families, first generation learners, they were very dependent on whatever income they could get. So the children were assets in that sense, and their labor was asset. So 4 hours they would come to the center and go back, and then they would go back to the field and work. Some earning about half day rate of 60 rupees. We said, okay, that's fine. But the other thing, once we expanded to 10 centers, and now we are going to expand a little more, children started coming from various villages around, and as of today while I'm speaking, there would be at least 50 to 70 kids who come walking 6 kilometers to these centers, because we can't open in every village, so we had the centers which we have now, 6 kilometers, and of that part of it would be forest. So they would all come together and go back together, but still they are coming. Roughly speaking, we have put 750 kids we could reach, and we have been tracking over 600 kids are not married. So one huge result, immediately we could see 600 not married. What about the results? Most of these girls had forgotten what they have read a few years back, because they had dropped out several years before they came into the centers. So we had to take them through foundation course, etc., etc. That was methodology. But what we also realized, the girls initially were not willing to come because they have started liking their freedom. They are not going, they are always all around the villages. And first day I remember I contacted some girls, and next day I go back, no one appears because they are all with the goats or amongst themselves, and they have lost the interest in studying because they have to sit in a place and study. So that was a major, major issue. So we got in touch with some drama person, and she created some, very nice dramas in which they were involved. And then they started saying, oh, this is also school. Okay, we like it. So they started coming. And then we introduced slowly subjects. And they all sit for, I'm not sure, but you may have heard of, Government of India has National Institute of Open School Board. It's a board, NIS board. So they all take this exam because once they are certified, they can then opt for some jobs, class 10, then 12. So about 700 girls went through this process. 750, 600 we could track, we are in touch. And many of them, after finishing class 10, they are studying for class 11 and 12. And some have gone into the college. So what we want to establish now is, because primarily their issue is still economic. I mean, the parents are still struggling, and the girls are also asking themselves initially, now less so, that हमारा क्या होगा, हम पढ़ के क्या करेंगे, वही तो शादी करेंगे, घर में घर बसाएंगे, इससे तो ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं होगा. So what we are trying to do, if we can create some champions with those who have passed out 10 or 12 or someone from the college, if they can gainfully be employed and establish themselves, then there will be a change, a real change. I mean, this is still we are pursuing very hard. And once that happens, we feel, so it is an interconnected thing, it's not just once off and one particular activity for this particular group. And so I keep thinking that can't such great leaders emerge in this country, can't some great leader take care of education firstly, and secondly for these girls, because we can see them getting married and then going down, and down. So that's something I wanted to share. There is something else I would have shared, which is my domain, which is health, but this is something I'm very keen, and because this has answers to several of our immediate problems vis-a-vis health, as I told you.
Thank you, Dr. Papu, I think, for sharing. I think, again, showing when there is a will and solution focus, and we are trying to do bottom up, specifically focusing on certain things, different ideas come, and of course someone has to work hard with the people on the ground, and then solution comes. Of course, all problems have been solved, but looks like the seeds of hope are planted, just like Jagannath was also saying. Within a few weeks, even that project, the parents are saying, okay, you are feeding them all right, when we are going to put into study as well. You are saying the same thing. Initially, parents were opposing, children are not coming, now they're coming far away and doing it. So again, it's a very positive stories and showing that potential exists and how to go forward. Thank you. I'm sure all these ideas will be collected together and move forward. Now we have a very two young students from our school. Really all these discussions and all these things are good, but these are all about focusing on them. The nation is there, country is theirs going to be. So let's listen from them.
Good evening everyone present here. I am Azmat from class 9. Today I am here to discuss the discrimination between boys and girls. We know that everyone talk about equality, but are we really getting that? Are everyone getting the same education everywhere? I think everyone know the answer. The answer is very much obvious to us. The line, ladies first, always everyone speaks. But while getting job, where it goes, no one knows. There is a very stereotype thinking in our locality that boys should always play with gadgets or toys like remote control cars, whereas girls can play only with soft toys. I have personally experienced it. When I was small, my father and my uncles used to give me soft toys on my birthdays, whereas my brothers used to get all the robotic things, all the calculator. I don't know why. People used to, where it goes, I don't know. Everyone, girls cannot do this, cannot do that. No. In most of the families, people give equal education, both boys and girls, till middle school. But when it comes to higher education, boys are sent to abroad, while girls are cooped up in their house for their marriage. I've seen in my village a girl who wanted to become a lawyer, but just because she has to study outside the village, her parents did not agree and told them and told her, and actually stopped her studies. One more point is that girls, women, everyone is considered impure while their menstruation. I don't know why. People always, this is the normal thing, of course. Every adults, every teenage knows here. But while girls are on their menstruation, they are told not to enter the kitchen, not to touch the holy books, not to read namaz, not to enter temples. It is common thing here everywhere. I hope this stereotypical thinking stops very soon within this year. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you. Well done, Ajit. Well done.
I think she has set the tone. She has put ourselves all on very clearly in front of a mirror.
Good evening, one and all present here. I am Pratusha Mukherjee from Standard 8. Before coming to the main topic, I want everyone to close their eyes and imagine that we are stepping into a pair of shoes, not our own comfortable sneakers or stylish sandals, but the worn out ones, the uncomfortable. Now think that it is having worn out soles, representing the extra burden on every woman, including their household chores, and the size of the shoes a little bit small, representing the less lack of educational opportunities to them. It is a shame to say in this progressing world that before the birth of a child, their opportunities are taken away. The moment the parents get to know that the baby in their womb is a girl, they are killed. Women is a full circle. She is having the power to create the nature and transform. But our society has proven this statement wrong. When a girl is born in a family, before thinking about her future education, the family first think about her marriage. Early marriage for a girl is like a butterfly trapped in a cage. Her feathers are clipped, and the cage itself is a burden for her. Sanitation for the women, for these women are a luxury, hidden in shameful faces. Open fields are served as toilets, which is a threat to their dignity and health, especially for young girls. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you. I think we are getting to a part of the discussion where you put some questions very clearly, very boldly in front of us. Thank you very much. Okay, next is far from Leh Ladakh, we have Greenley Wangshu Rinchen. So I'd like to hear from him about his experience that he's working in the grassroots there.
Namaskar, Julie. Good evening. Other district guests, sponsors, Flick School, and the principal, Madam Ranjana, then members, then medical in STEM, then my teachers, my dear student. Thank you so much. I'm very happy. Invitation to Ranjana. Yesterday came here. Today I see you very happy. Then we My name is Tuftan Wangchuk. I social welfare 30 years wing in Ladakh. This is a remote area. It's a mountain area. Winters very difficult in the cold. December, January, February. Summer very nice. Then we think before I small 10 year I make in monk. This time my house near monastery. Then we monk go into my house near, they give to sweet ling. Then I like monk. Then we drinking wine in school in the, my village in the 6th class. Then after in the Buddhist school in the 9th. Then after we go to South India, Buddhist education, study. Solar visit is good 5 years. Then after in the Ladakhi head Lama, Bakula is known, everybody. India is very famous. In Mongolia embassy, in Ladakh, very his nice India we Lama. Then he select to go to Dharamsala 1983. We go to in a study Kalachakara. Then we stay in the Namgyal monastery in Dharamsala 7 years we study. Then after we study finished, come to back to Leh. Then I stay in monastery. This time I go to some village, in some in a house, in pray. This. Then we look, see in the village, some look in children. I very feeling no happy. It's a really poor children, really poor family. Then I say, this is an important education. Then I say, what say I family in question? Why is school in children? He say, no money, nothing there. It's more difficult. Then my fine, this is my local main sponsor. Then my local main sponsor, I study, finish. Then some children I sponsored, my pocket money, some give to money there. Then after you slowly, 1990, we Child Welfare Association, we start in Ladakh. Then we 9, 10 class, workshop, then winters, 2-3 months in free education. This is after 18 years, after 10,000 children is good success. They are in the metric pass. This is very good. This time in the 4,700 metric pass in the fail. All children go no up there. Then we this push to go to all there, 18 years. Then after we thinking everything okay, then main important in Ladakh, in Leh in the city, big city now rich parent, more important in remote area. No road, no jeep, walking. These children very difficult education. What to bring this? Then I come in Leh, then I meet somebody monastery, some Swiss people I meet. Just look, I visit in monastery, he is coming to here, I look in smile, he love me smile, then we speak, discussion. What you doing, what do you mean? Then I say, okay, I hear this, then I make in school. Then he say, you come to Switzerland. You come to Switzerland, it's important, say. Then 1990 I go to in Switzerland. Then we Ekohema Switzerland, some enjoy. Some this 10% members, good Ekohema Switzerland, is enjoy sponsorship there. This one day we same meeting. Many people is from to India, only me. From to Nepal, South Africa, many enjoy. Then we all project show to lectures. I really English very poor. This is a good success. Somebody shoot Italy, shoot English. Somebody understand. We poor English is good. I don't know. Okay, then we lucky. Yesterday, my project in select. Yeah, 15 lock select, your project is select. Then I get back to inlay. Then we line, we look, small where. Then we start 2000, July 18, we first wedding. Then 2001, his group is come visit. Look, it's all happy, nice. Then I think 2001, I going to first travel, go to Nubra village, Nubra near Pakistan border. I 20 hours I walking, 20 hour walking mountain. Then we 2 night, 2:30 meet in village. Then morning we look really poor, nothing there. Really no education. Then I think his children look me mom shining there. Then with this children we select the village numbers. This really poor who were. Then we select some children, Nubra village, 14 children we start. 2000 we start the school. Then every year we 25 year, every village, Zanskar, Nubra, Dahanu, many going there. This is very important. I happy. Now we 2000 we start 24 3-year go school. Now in the 600 children is good education, good success. Then I happy result 389 good job. Some children good they are in the job. Somebody is this result is important. Sorry. Then I important now here I been yesterday. I so many happy. Look nice this area, flower, medical, education. She is a team last year, 3 years in doctor come to my in Ladakh. His team in a poor children, poor family, we medical, education, this teacher training, very accept. I hope again you to again welcome. We to connection very far this same family. My future I thinking some children come to Ladakh. You look in show discussion.
Absolutely.
Ladakhi children coming to here. We close in the calm or education here. This is important. Today I come here, everybody I know friend. We same old fear. Then we important feature, this is children features. Children in education, you too education is important. You to education, you to knowledge, you to compassion. 3 points, very important. Education, knowledge, no compassion, then no happy.
Excellent.
We no peace. All no peace is difficult there. Education, knowledge, in compassion. Why meaning compassion? Why meaning compassion? Peace, happy. Everybody we say business, shopping, education. Somebody say, sir, you told me after education, after his marriage, after all. This is no life. Life is all peace. Connection is love to all. This we hear hot. Now many people all no peace. Fighting. Now in the Ladakh. Relation maintain very this year very hot in Ladakh. No snow. Really. I here in the one jacket, one there's here in Ladakh in the same clothes.
Oh my goodness. Is it the same?
Really, same clothes. We all change. Now in mountain, no snow, all black.
Yeah, I noticed. All black.
Who you doing this? Who you this doing? We. People. No cow, no animal. People. Also with business, make company, pollution coming, GCB, coal, all this business, all this season very difficult. Road, then all boat, nice boat, lip, nothing there. Then who is doing? We. We here all here. Today we peace, we hand. Today we is finished, we here. This another nothing there. Then we more important education. This is the mind, peace, compassion. Everybody people is say compassion. I go in Europe, Belgium, Germany, France, Switzerland. Everybody I go there in a school visit. Somebody rich people really rich. Some people every money okay, every rich no happy. Somebody question, I no happy. No buy to happy in no shop. Today I buy to shop to happy. No. Inside. In mind, in thinking. What is me? What is Genle? What is Truptan? Yeah, we hear. We look. After no happy, father is mother, no compassion. In children, no compassion, no modern education. Main important modern education. We peace to modern education with discussion. Today no happy, why? We labor to 15, 60, 70, we each finish. After we or education give to pocket to, they are in children. Now in teachers, all to come to, this is the children, you to responsibility, very important. Only lesson no necessary. What is me, meaning, what is man, what is peace, what is shanti. Usko important. Then you to learning now is the peace in holiness, Dalai Lama, many books you learn. Yeah, all religion, many learn. Then spirit is coming. Then after peace, more important education, knowledge, and compassion. 3 points, then all peace, society, nice.
Thank you.
Education, this only knowledge, no compassion, no happy.
Education, knowledge, compassion.
Yes.
They are the most important three
Yes,
pillars.
yes.
And
Thank
happiness
you.
cannot
Yes,
be
yes,
purchased.
yes. Sorry,
Happiness
sorry.
cannot be purchased.
Somebody you know understand. I sorry. This okay. I know here rating. We mind. We direct to you to give to parcel. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I'm very, very happy. Nice to see you. Thank you. Long life.
So, first and foremost, thank you, Virlay, for coming that far. I know that our team visited three times, and the compassion and love and the hospitality that you showed to us, I will never forget, and we will continue to have that journey together, no question. We know, not like you, but we have the experience of visiting some corners of Ladakh, Leh, and Kargil, and where teachers from different corners came and we interacted with them, and we're still continuing with them. Almost 400 teachers of Ladakh and Leh, Kargil and Leh are with us. We're working together, and we are really also, we must say, the sincerity and the interest and enthusiasm with which the teachers from Ladakh is cooperating and working with us is unbelievable. We see how passionately they implement those in their school. That tells us what you just said, the education is important and everybody is interested to embrace the quality education and continue with us. And again, I think we had the opportunity to meet His Holiness Dalai Lama when we were there. What you just said, the same thing, education, knowledge and compassion. And you already mentioned about the climate issues that we all talked about. When we were there, we saw the snow, it's very hot. But we thought the snow will come back. But what you're saying, those black mountains have lost the snow. Means the glacier water will be drying up. That means not only up there, we are going to face that problem soon here. So again, education, compassion together has to solve the problem. Thank you very much. After that, we will go to from the one region of mountain to the other part. to the Kupwara, Kashmir area, where Istaq and Isfaq have also traveled far to reciprocate our journey that we did in June. So we'll hear from them.
Respected Professor Kaushik Basu, Dr. Prashant Giri, President Nanritam, and all other dignitaries, good evening. When the bright-minded people have met on a platform trying to remove the social, cultural, and economic barricades and bring all the people on the path of development, I feel pleasure to present myself in front of the most talented, most bright minds of the world. I feel pleasure to see myself between the like-minded people. Dear audience, when we are trying to represent the people from the tough terrains of Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh and Kargil and other parts of the country, I would like to say that I am from the valley surrounded by the highest mountain peaks of the world. I am from the land where the springs quench the thirst of its natives. I am from the land where the Jahlim carries its tourists in its lap. I am from the land where the pheasants fly over the snow roof of the world. Dear audience, it's called the land of saints, the heaven on the earth, the Kashmir. Dear audience, we being the residents of rural area and having experience of working with the rural area people, their children had gone through tough time, though that may be climatic, social and economic. We managed to get up for us and for our society. We struggled to strive, but we kept heads high, and the history is witness of our intelligence and capacity. The first Prime Minister of independent India, Mr. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and had his ancestors from Kashmir. The great economist, the most humble, intelligent Prime Minister of India, Mr. Manmohan Singh. The all-time great poet of undivided India, Mr. Sir Muhammad Iqbal, all had their ancestors from Kashmir. The great renowned Islamic scholar, Mr. Maulana Anwar Shah Kashmiri, was the son of this Kashmir valley. So I must say, but the thing is why I am saying these things is that I must say our children are comparatively much brave, more intelligent and more talented. But there are somewhere the pages of shines, feeling of inferiority complex resident in most minds of our rural area people. Our institutes might lack well-designed multi-story buildings, but they produced IS toppers. We might lack highly equipped playgrounds, but we still raised medal winners at national and international levels. We don't lack the passion and thirst to learn. This point may be witnessed by our 2,358 kilometer long journey by road, taking almost 60 hours to reach here for our children and for our children. And I think our children, these children, are not next to the creative minds. For us, the need of hour is that the like-minded people have to work in positive manner and find the ways to reach bright minds at earliest with best teaching aids, methods, and economic teaching aids actually, to delete the pages of shines from the minds of children to bring them at par with the students learning at high-class institutes of the nation. Concluding with the lines, don't look at the foot blisters for now. This is just the beginning of journey. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, I mean, we all know the paradise of the earth in Kashmir and all. We all grew up hearing that. We witnessed that, and the children are beautiful. Children are beautiful all over, and there is no smart corner. We believe you're as talented as any children there are, and creating opportunity and opportunities. That's all we can do, and we'll do that together. Thank you. Next is Mamun Bhai. Mamun, probably a lot of people are well known to he, but let's listen from him, his journey a little bit and his experience.
First of all, thank you to Ranjana Di and Hata sir. It is a great pleasure coming here and meeting everybody. The purpose of coming here also to meet Professor Kaushik Basu sir and all the board members of Nanritam. I have heard a lot of about him, so it was my dream to meet him also. Whenever I come here, when I interact with the children, it is I can't say that the so high quality education has given to the children. The children perform very well. We are associated with Nanritam since last 2 years. Actually, our school, the organization which I run is called Samaritan Help Mission. It was founded by me in 2001 with 6 children in a room. Right now it has 6,500 students with 4 schools. It is 100% for the marginalized children. The area where I work is place called Tikiapara. Basically, the area is infested with crime. The children who comes here, mostly the children of rickshaw pullers, daily laborers, the fathers are in jail due to a lot of cases. So my focus was to give them a quality English education. But since the volume of the work, the children's large number of children were there, so quality was very important. So we are very lucky that we got partnership with Nanritam, and within a year, I could see the wonderful teachers are sitting there. These teachers, they all went there and they trained our teachers. And just for the training, we can now see a good quality of education has been improved. We are also going to collaborate in various fields like eye hospital. We also have a hospital. We started with education, but right now it's not only a school, it is totally a community development project. We have a school, we have a small hospital, we have a livelihood for the women, basically the women who are widows, whose husband has left. So we train them, we provide them livelihood. We have more than 300 to 500 women who are working and getting jobs. We have a sports academy for the girls. So it is totally a community development project. The area has been transformed. We collaborated with the Howrah City Police, so a case study has also been made on that how just like Nanritam is doing. So we are very thankful, and we hope the long time partnership will go with Nanritam in training our teachers in other field like Didi has told about how we can implement bot. This year, Nanritam has also donated books for our nursery to UKG. So we are very thankful and grateful to you. And really we look forward for more partnership and training. And I really appreciate the wonderful teachers. They are very, very talented teachers. So for the long term, we like to have association with you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mamun Bhai. Like lot of practitioners here, I mean, his journey is also an amazing journey. And we are lucky and happy that we are also collaborating and working together. I think that is also a common story of being here. We are all working together for the same common cause. So wherever we can share best practices and efforts, we'll continue to do that. And that's wonderful. Now we'll switch again to the tone a little bit. We'll go back to the even farther the grassroots. We'll hear from Putul Chitrakar from the areas very nearby Pingla, which is famous for Poto Chitro. There's a community, they draw pictures, sing songs and create it. It's very traditional art and traditional life. So Putuldi will tell us a little bit about their journey from the grassroots, what they do. And we'll translate if needed, as much needed. Thank you.
নমস্কার, আমি বেশি কিছু বক্তব্য তো দিতে পারি না, আমি গান করতে পারি কিন্তু বক্তব্য দিতে পারি না। তো আপনাদের মতো এত গুণী মানুষ, হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, আমরা ছোটবেলা থেকে আমাদের যে শিল্পগুলো আমাদের পরম্পরা হয়ে আসছে। ন্যাচারাল কালার থেকে আমরা রং বানাই। হ্যাঁ,
She was explaining that all the colors those comes from natural sources.
আমরা লালটা বানাই লটকন ফল থেকে।
The red color comes from a flower, fruits called lokhon fruit.
গ্রিনটা বানাই আমরা সবুজটা ওই সবুজ সিম পাতা রস থেকে।
So from the flat beans juice, they get the green color.
তো নীলটা বানাই আমরা অপরাজিতা ফুল থেকে।
So Aparajita's English I don't know. Is a blue flower, morning glory, blue morning glory flowers that extracts gives the blue color.
আমরা গোলাপিটা বানাই পুঁই মিজলি রস থেকে, যেমন আমার পুঁই পাতা পুঁই খায় না।
Okay. So this is the pink color also comes from a herb or some kind of creeper that we actually eat, and there is a kind of a violet color fruits that grows and they make it out of it.
তবে মেরুনটা বানাই আমরা সেগুন পাতা একটা আছে ওর থেকে বানাই।
Some teak leaf. Anyway, so all the colors come from some kind of natural plant. তোমরা যে গান করো this is না মানে কি হবে বানাও গান করে হ্যাঁ
আমরা গান করে থাকি। এর মধ্যে যে রাধা কৃষ্ণর প্রেম কাহিনী, রাধা কৃষ্ণর ঝগড়া, রাধা কৃষ্ণ।
So essentially each of this painting it describes some kind of stories, mythological stories, either a conversation between Radha and Krishna and all. So they basically paint those stuff.
হ্যাঁ আমাদের গ্রামেতে, গ্রাম নয় ঠিক, আমাদের যে পাড়াটা যেগুলো কাজ করা হয় আমাদের ওগুলো 120টা বাড়ি আছে। তো দিদি আমাদের এই রঞ্জনা দি আমাদের সঙ্গে করোনার সময় পর্যন্ত আমাদের গিয়েছিল, গিয়ে অনেক হ্যাঁ আমাদের তো এগুলো পূর্বপুরুষ থেকে হয়ে আসছে। হ্যাঁ বাবা মা থেকে দেখে দেখে শেখা, কোন কলেজ বা ট্রেনিং নিতে হয় না, আমাদের দেখে দেখে শেখা। হ্যাঁ গানগুলো আমাদের মা বাবার থেকে শুনে শুনে শেখা, পূর্বপুরুষ থেকে এগুলো হয়ে আসছে। হ্যাঁ আমরা মুসলিম, আমরা হিন্দু না। আমরা যা কিছু মানে পালন করি মুসলিম ধর্মে আমরা পালন করি, কিন্তু হিন্দুদের অনেকটাই কিছু জানি। আমাদের পাশের গ্রামের মানুষ এটা বলে হিন্দুরা যে তোরা কি করে এত জানিস, হ্যাঁ আমরা এত জানি না।
Essentially they are Muslim community, but what their paintings, their stories and all that they basically lot on Hindu mythology. So this is a unique situation and unique and it's happening for centuries. মানে বংশ পরম্পরা, generation after generation, that's the way they progress.
আবার এমন কি আমরা গান আমরা নিজেদের রচনা করি। হ্যাঁ আমরা যা কিছু ঘটে সেগুলো আমরা তুলে ধরি, যেমন করোনার উপরে যা ঘটলো তার উপরে গান রচনা করে পট বিক্রি করলাম। তো নিত্য নতুন যা হয়, মাছের বিয়ে, আমরা মানুষের বিয়ে দেখি, তো মজাদের একটা মাছের বিয়ের একটা হোক। তো মাছের বিয়ে এখন এতটাই ফেমাস হয়ে গেছে, যেখানে যে আমরা তো দূর দূরান্ত বেড়াতে থাকি, মানে মেলা করে থাকি, প্রোগ্রাম করে থাকি, গান করে থাকি, কাজ করে থাকি, ওয়ালে টোয়ালে, তো যেখানেই যাই বলে গান একটা করো মাছের বিয়ে। হ্যাঁ ওটা খুব ফেমাস হয়ে গেছে। তো এই নিয়ে আমি ডেনমার্ক পর্যন্ত গিয়েছি। হ্যাঁ সেখানে মানে ওই রং শেখাতে, গান শেখাতে, গান করতে, কাজ করতে। হ্যাঁ তো আমার খুব ভালো লাগে।
So essentially what she's saying, probably all of you are figuring out, there are only 120 families now around in the area. They are community-wise Muslim, but they are essentially all their paintings and arts are essentially depicting the Hindu mythological stories. They actually do paintings as well as they sing songs. Those songs are also created, and not only they also create songs of the current phenomena. Even the corona and the COVID time, they created new songs, paintings around it, and
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ আমার হ্যাঁ এটা বলা হয়নি, আমি নিজে আমার বাবার সাথে যেতাম। হ্যাঁ বাড়িতে বাড়িতে বাবা গান করতো, আমি ছোটোবেলায় ব্যাগ ধরতাম। হ্যাঁ বাবা চাল পয়সা নিত। হ্যাঁ বাবার কাছ থেকেই আমার বেসিক্যালি শেখা। হ্যাঁ খুব কষ্ট করেছে আমার বাবা। তো বড় হয়ে এখন শহরে আমরা বেরিয়ে গেছি, গ্রামের মানুষরা এখন বলে যে তোরা অনেক বড় হয়ে গেছিস, এখন আর গ্রামে আসিস না, বাবা কাকারা ছিল তখন যেত। হ্যাঁ তো খুব মজা লাগে এখন। তো আমি একটুখানি গান শোনাই। নমস্কার, আমার নাম পুতুল চিত্রকর, আমি রাধাকৃষ্ণ প্রেম কাহিনীর ওপর গান শোনাচ্ছি। সাঝের বেলায় যমুনার জল আনতে বলে কে, সাঝের বেলায় যমুনার জল, না জানি কোন কালার সাথে মন মজেছে,
না জানি কোন কালার সাথে মন মজেছে সাজের বেলায় যমুনার জল আনতে বলে কে সাজের বেলায় যমুনার জল কদম গাছের তলায় আবার বংশী বাজায় কে কদম গাছের তলায় আবার বংশী বাজায় কে সাজের বেলায় যমুনার জল আনতে বলে কে সাজের বেলায় যমুনার জল নমস্কার
So essentially, the reason, I mean, as Putul was representing herself and her community, you can, if we just think, it reflects a very few key points that we all discuss in a very intellectual way. First, she mentioned she is from a Muslim community, but for centuries, they're actually singing, depicting the pictures of Hindu mythology. So there is no barrier there in the folk culture that way. She says all the paints are natural paints, are all made of different extract from different vegetables. So all these things that we talk these days, and then she sings, she draws, connects to the families, that's how she earns money, and that's continues. So these are the, when you look at the rural Bengal or interior, these are the models and societies and communities that existed for centuries. And there are so many positive lessons that today we are trying to impose back. But if we truly look into it, there are so many sources of positive influence that we can find. So that's the way they are connected in Nanritam. In Nanritam, we always try, wherever these positive sources are there, how to connect, how to champion those, and we learn from them every day. Thank you, Putul. So we are kind of with a distinct and different varied personalities and representation from different parts and different type of areas of expertise and experience. I think we have moved forward, so we'll have some areas of query and some interactive discussion to follow. But before that, I have Marin Mukherjee to give his part of the, whichever way you prefer. Whichever way you prefer.
Two things brought me up here. One is I need to see the children first. And to you, I mean, the men sitting extreme right, the two men sitting to your extreme right, both of them are my teachers. So it's a bit unnerving, I mean, when you talk in presence of your teacher. So I need to dissociate myself a bit, right? So Prashanto Da, we used to call him Prashanto Da. Professor Giri was my teacher back in my college, Narendrapur Ramakrishna Mission. And my first job interview, Dr. Papu was in the panel. So he asked me, "Ki korbe tumi?" So for Bengali speaking ones, what would you do? So I couldn't give an answer. I mean, I still am finding ki korbo ami. I don't really know Papu da ki korbo. So I am still finding it out. Ki korbo, I don't know. I'm just logging, but then to share some of the experiences, just that. Okay, so this is my third time in Nanritam, and the experience is as inspiring as it was. I came here in 2018, Ranjanadi, I mean pre-COVID. So I came back in between, and then this is the third time. I'm as inspired as I was in the first time. So thank you for giving the opportunities. So one of your fellow students in the morning was showing us a model. I mean, we were in the school, and one of the models, I mean, he was explaining fantastically. I was discussing with Bharatidi how exactly he started with a quadrilateral, and he actually came back to a square. I mean, kind of adding assumptions and how exactly from a general case you go to a specific case. I mean, I was discussing with Bharatidi that this is exactly what we used to learn in deductive logic. So I'll give you a case about the other way around, the inductive logic. I mean, you have heard very specific cases here. So I was just noting them down. It was education. We talked about education. We talked about livelihoods. We talked about, Papuda talked about teenage marriage, teenage pregnancy, the years of adolescence. we heard the students who were talking about gender discrimination, something that they have faced in their households. We have talked about poverty, some of them, but Sir was talking about climate change and all. We also heard some of the local artisans, environmentally friendly things, the climate change thing, the climate action has come into discussion very much. So all these things, this is to the students, of course, not for us. You know, all these hindering factors, all these impediments are something we now kind of use to measure poverty. So these are all kinds of hindering factors are actually helpful to measure poverty. It's no longer income poverty anymore. So there are many measurements of poverty. My country, our country has seen many measurements of poverty. So of late we are also using this multidimensional poverty and all these things. So all these impediments which actually hold you back to, at a suboptimal level where you cannot achieve your full potential are all poverty indicators, or all kind of those hindrances. So we will talk about that. In fact, the organization I come from, so in one-liner, I am Marine. I look after one of the state chapters of one of the NGOs in working in West Bengal. We started in West Bengal. So this coming 1st of February, we will be completing 50 years of journey. All are welcome there back in Kolkata. Child in Need Institute, CINI. So I look after the West Bengal chapter of CINI. There are other state chapters as well. We work in the eastern and northeastern part of the country. And we work with children. So children are they are there in the center of our universe, CINI's universe, right? So, but children coming from very difficult backgrounds, children not as much entitled as many of us here are. So children whose rights have been violated. Children having problems with health. We work with health, we work in the domain of nutrition, we work with education, and we also work with the children having issues with child protection. So these are the 4 domains that we work with. But then, I will not exactly speak about how CINI does. You have heard these examples. These are also kind of problems that we face. I mean, we work with rural communities across West Bengal, right from Sundarbans up to the Himalayas and other states as well. We are also in some of the urban agglomerations as well, right from Kolkata, Shiliguri, Asansol, and all these areas. So the problems are more or less the same. So when I heard from Priyanka the topics of discussion, I said that let me put forward a new thing, a new framework to you all, again to the students, because probably also in the morning we heard some of them were having models on SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals and all. Some of them were actually showing a Gram Sabha and all. And so I thought that I would rather speak on a new framework, not a theoretical framework, but a framework for action. A framework that has come down post-COVID. Incidentally, the time coincided after COVID abated. But then let's have a discussion on that, right? So I'm not going into very specific examples, but in this framework, all the topics that have been discussed now will be covered. I mean, so this is a general framework going into, asking us to act on those issues. So the framework gives us avenues how we should look into those issues, how we should bring forward those issues, and how we should act on those issues, right? So there is a history to it. In the month of April 2020, when the world was slowly going into the veil of the pandemic, the last pandemic, probably the most well-documented pandemic in human history, Arundhati Roy, some of you have heard about her, the noted writer. She writes in Financial Times. There is a fantastic column. It is still archived. You can go back to those columns. And she writes there that like all the previous pandemics, the present COVID pandemic is a portal. What is a portal? Then she explains a gateway from the present world to the next. A new world order is coming. So I was keen, in fact, we didn't have the round of questions, but I was also keen to understand what was happening pre-COVID in these issues and what are the new things you are seeing post-COVID. So we will come to those. But then she explains, and there, just a fortnight back in the same column in Financial Times, Yuval Noah Harari, he also echoes something similar. He says that he was trying to prepare us, the communities, for two particular important choices. The first between a totalitarian surveillance in the name of COVID, but that would continue post-pandemic as well, and the citizens' empowerment on the other side of the spectrum. And the second choice was between a nationalist isolation and the global solidarity. So when we discuss these things, I mean, these local issues, these have a global ramification as well, right? So he says, and I quote him, many short-term emergency measures will become a fixture of life. That is the nature of emergencies. They fast-forward historical processes. Decisions that in normal times could take years of deliberation are passed in matter of hours. Immature and even dangerous technologies are pressed into service because the risks of doing nothing is even greater, even bigger. So then he questions that what happens when everybody works from home and communicates only at a distance? We have seen that during the lockdown, right? And what happens when what happens when the entire schools and universities go online? And I add, the quotation ends here, and I add, what happens when there are too many layoffs in the formal as well as the informal sectors? What happens when people in thousands start walking hundreds of kilometers for their homes in search of a shred of familiarity, dignity, shelter, and probably also food, right? What happens when the hospitals fall short of beds and medical oxygen? The sites they produced and the structural, social, and the economic inequality they reveal is in the following months were too appalling to miss. So the pandemic would surely be brought into discussion, right? Now, it's almost 2 years now that the storm has gone, but the emergency remains, right? Back home, what happened? I mean, this is coming from our field experience, and it matches exactly what we have heard just now. Too many children who have forgotten to read and write across the country, right? I don't know globally, but of course for India. Too many young adults bearing a permanent scar in some form of mental health issue, right? Thousands of teenage girls getting married off under the veil of the pandemic, an overburdened health workforce heavily skewed to contain the virus left local but wide gaps in the routine immunization of infants, routine immunization of mothers. And we are actually seeing in Murshidabad, in Kolkata, sporadic, small kind of outbreaks, measles outbreak, rubella outbreak. All the children, the entire cohort that have missed routine immunization during COVID times are coming out with these local outbreaks, right? The health system is also very much concerned, and they're trying to contain these local outbreaks, but these things are happening. Now, there is a glimmer of hope, right? In October 2021, exactly, over a year then into the pandemic, and while the country was still under a sporadic lockdown and unlock phases, an expert group comprising of bureaucrats from the states and the union, I mean the central government, the academicians, and some of the practitioners, we were a part of it as an organization, along with specialized institutes, I mean in the country itself, actually tabled a report to Government of India. I was actually wanting to talk about the report, but probably the report is quite large. We will discuss a bit of it. And that eventually got published by none other than the Ministry of Panchayati Raj. So there is a new, this ministry is quite new. I mean, it happened with the last UPA government, and there was no Ministry of Panchayati Raj. Panchayati Raj was actually dealt with by the Ministry of Rural Development at that time. So, but this MOPR actually came out publishing the report. Now, 2 years back to that, in September 2019, the UN Secretary General, the then UN Secretary General, had called for a decade of action on 3 levels. One is the global action, of course, the global action with more resources and smarter solution to global problems. Number 2 is the local action, embedding the needed transitions in policies, budgets and institutions, the frameworks of governments. And number 3 is what we actually do, people's action by youths, civil society, students like you, the private sector, the unions, and of course the government and the academia to generate momentum for required transformations. Now, what was this actually for? Some of you would know that 2015 to 2030 is the period for Sustainable Development Goals. Before that, we had Millennium Development Goals, but then we changed some of the directions and the new set of goals for the entire country, the global things. The period is coming to an end in 2030. So the global call for action was actually towards achieving the SDGs, some of the problems.
Mr. Mukherjee,
yes.
Just not to stop you, the momentum, but just I was trying to summarize a little bit to help further. So essentially it looks like the top-down, bottom-up, having the policy in between and the execution sector involving the grassroots. That's the core theme of the things, that we have a framework of SDG from the top. Now, how in the policy interpretation and implementation, and how from the grassroots to integrate the local actions and local things that we are talking about, and putting all those perspectives in a platform and a framework so that the proper action can be all integrated towards a concerted effort. Is that the theme?
Exactly, you have made it, you have nailed it. I mean, 16 out of 17 SDGs, they took 16 out of 17 SDGs, 169 SDG targets, the global targets. At that point of time, there were 231 global indicators to measure these targets. And in the recent years, in 2023, I mean, the government of India also publishes on 29 June, sir. 29 June happens to be the National Statistics Day, the birthday of Prashant Chandra Mahalanobis. They come out with a new set of indicators, which is the National Indicator Framework. This report actually positioned itself to have these local actions, and they came out with a local indicator framework for local actions to be pronounced in the development highway of SDGs. So till then, SDGs for us, people like us, working at a village level, at a micro level, at the ward level in the urban communities, SDGs were something global, SDGs were something national. But then, at this point of time, from October 2021 till then, they had a revised framework, of course. In 2023, 29 June, they came out with a revised framework. And they have actually showed how the 16 SDGs, the only SDG that is left behind is SDG number 17, which calls for global partnerships and collaboration. All the rest 16 SDGs have been cut down into 9 themes, nationally applicable all over India, 9 themes for villages. They are a bit short in the urban kind of integration, but the 9 themes they have come out with, we have discussed this. So
Mr. Mukherjee, I was again for the sake of the discussion and follow up and the time as well. So looks like the policies, again I'm repeating probably, the policies and the structures are defined in a scaffold that have the opportunity to integrate all the thoughts. But question comes back to the real intervention and action that we are discussing at the bottom. But these are not disintegrated effort. These are kind of part of all kind of rivulets that is helping to a main river to flow, but they're all connected.
Actually, whatever we are doing locally, this is the right time, right opportunity to have it actually pronounced at the national level.
And you also said very correctly the goal number 17, the collaboration. I think
that is only left out.
I think today's whole platform and discussion and thoughts essentially reflecting that number 17, that how the different efforts, whether it's education or health, how from the grassroots you can collaborate and build towards a solution.
Exactly.
I think that's a good way. Please have a final line on yours.
With pronouncing the 9 themes. You see exactly what we have discussed. So the theme 1 is the poverty-free and enhanced livelihood village. The theme 2 is the healthy village. And they have they have connected the SDGs. I mean, if you work on one particular theme, multiple SDGs get covered. And the theme 3 is the child-friendly village. Theme 4 is water sufficient village. Theme 5 is clean and green village. 6, self-sufficient infrastructure in village. Theme 7 is mostly scheme integration, socially secured village. Theme 8 is village with good governance, local governance. And theme 9 is engendered or women-friendly village. So we can take this discussion offline, but we have a framework where we can integrate all our efforts and see how these things, I mean, a minuscule effort at a village would actually push forward the national goal. So this is the right opportunity. I thought I would rather discuss on that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And I think thanks to all the speakers for very enlightening, enriching and passionate their input and sharing their experience. I think that was the whole idea. Of course, we can further build upon it and we'll continue. But I think I'm just going to take one short step away from the formalized things we thought. Of course, it was not a debate. Everybody has provided their points correctly. But I still would not, I was thinking, at least before we go to the next part, I was thinking to applaud, I'm taking this myself, to applaud 2 of our students. I think they, in this forum, probably put their points so much. Can we have an applaud for your friends? They really put it very marvelous way that in this big forum, people get nervous. They will probably not be able to talk properly, but in the way, so courageously, they put the point so simply from their experience. It's, I think, hats off to them. That says they're really thinking differently. That's the future generation we need. With that, I think we're almost ending towards our main program, but we will end it with a poetry from one of our student, Purba.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Purba Sharkal, a 10th grader. And I'm here to represent the culture of Purulia through its language. With a recitation written by Sharat Kumar Mukhopadhyay, Bongobhu. তেমন দিন কবে আসবে যেদিন গরুর বাহনে চড়ি আকাশে যাইতে যাইতে মা লক্ষ্মী শুধাবে ওদিকে ওটা কি দেশ গো লদি ভরি জল টমটম করে মাঠ ভরি ধান কালো কালো মানুষগুলান খিলখিল খিলখিল করিয়া হাসে অন্তর্যামী নারায়ণ মিটি মিটি হাসবেন শুধাবেন তোমার মনে লাই কতবার আইছো এদিকে তোমার মনে লাই কত পূজা লিয়েছ ই হলো বঙ্গভূম বান হয়েছিল ওরা বাঁধ বাঁধল নদী শুকাইছিল এখন ক্যানাল হয়েছে বছরে 3 বার ধান উঠে দেখ কেনে নতুন দালান হইছে কত বিকালে সোনার পাড়া লহর ওই শুন টিকটিক টিকটিক করে শব্দ উঠে বল দিনি ও কিসের শব্দ মা লক্ষ্মী অবাক হয়ে তাকান মানুষ এখন কাজ করে ফিরছে শিশুরা পড়া করে ফিরছে ওহো মুড়ি খাওয়ার শব্দ বটে দুধে ভিজায় মুড়ি খায় বঙ্গভূমের মানুষ হায় তেমন দিন কবে আসবে গো কবে আসবে দুধ পাবেক পেট ভর মুড়ি পাবেক পোড়া দেশের মানুষ তেমন দিন কবে আসবে গো নমস্কার
So this cannot be translated, but still making an attempt. So Purba, with her recitation, paints a dream landscape. She awaits a day when people will have enough milk, people will have enough rice, children will go to school, there will be proper houses, proper jobs for everyone, And the question continues to remain, when will these days come? So that is what she is saying. Amon din kobe ashbek, when will these days come? When we eat enough, we sleep under proper roofs, and we send our children to schools. So that is
Okay, with that, our session is not ended yet. We have few other additional functions, and we'll come back with some discussion or some comments from our guests and all. So before that, we have a little action here. You know that you heard about the Education for All program started in the dark days of COVID to create a new dawn. And through that process, we have reached different corners. Some of the representatives are here. And we created that time in a very short period 2 books on English literacy and numeracy, foundational literacy, numeracy. The journey continued, and we have reached 65,000 children, different parts of India. And we are lucky to have our own teachers and our mentors and also great leaders and tutors and the teacher of the teachers like Hilda ma'am, who was always from the beginning with us, whether not only to train our teachers and inspire our students, but also she was with us on the field to train our EFA teachers. And as this journey continues and as we have completed 2 years, the demand from the ground has not stopped just getting the foundational literacy, numeracy basic part. Question comes, what's next? What are we going to do? So we have come up now, the next phase of that journey. In the foundation literacy area, Hilda ma'am herself, with the help of others, have created a new book on English that will be now spread over to the EFA community. After they have got the foundational literacy book, we are getting this new series of books. That series of books will be published today. By Hilda ma'am would be there, Kaushik Basu would be there, our teachers Priyanka and all would be there. So this is not about, I know the Hilda ma'am is quite, and if she's feeling reluctant to it, it's not about her. It's not about her, it's about the children. It's about the children on the grassroots in those hamlets in the remote corner of Ladakh, Kashmir, North Bengal. Again, this is the collaboration with Hilda ma'am, our teachers, our students, Felix School, everybody together, publishing the next book series called Sparkle. Sparkle is created keeping in mind those children who are learning English first time away from their alphabet and the word learning to the sentence learning and going to the comprehension and reasoning. So this is thank you ma'am and thank you all and for this opportunity for all of us together working on it. Thank you, thank you. So this book is going to be the next book, again prepared for EFA children after we did the first 2. So before we go to for some more questions and the ending comments, I would like to have few comments from our distinguished guests and thought leaders who are here. Of course, Kaushik Da will probably talk later. Alka Basu, we have all the Jamal, Oni, we have Pauline sir, we have Nalini ma'am, and others, whoever, and of course we have Andrew as well. So please, we have come far, far away. Hopefully you got a glimpse of what we do, what our school does, what our organization does, and also had a chance to hear our bigger family, bigger community of Nanritam with whom we work, and they try to share their input. So please, we'll appreciate everybody will get enriched with a few comments from yours. Starting with maybe, Nalini ma'am, I can start with you if you don't mind.
It's been quite an overwhelming experience. Our first visit to Nanritam, but very enlightening. I mean, at each stage, I do not know how to express how much it has affected me and how I feel enlightened. I feel I have learned so much in these 2 days about education, about how children can be taught. I mean, I would never have conceptualized some of the things that we witnessed today. So it's just been a very marvelous experience. And those books, They're beautiful. I love those books. I just took a brief look at them, but they're beautiful. They're so beautifully done.
Next, maybe I'll go to Andrew, please.
Thank you so much. I think I'm the only foreigner here, totally foreign, because even those who are U.S. citizens but were born in India.
But he can speak in Tamil.
Konchum. That means I can speak a bit. This has been I want to echo what was just said. This has been a very moving experience for me. It's 35 years ago that just by chance I happened to meet Swami Lokeshwara Nandaji in Gold Park in the Institute of Culture. And then I came full circle and suddenly I'm here 35 years later. And I was telling my wife, I was texting her, I said, I met this man who was the inspiration for this really wonderful school. And this was after the first cultural performance 2 nights ago that was so beautiful, so moving, so much talent. And she said to me, you know, he drew you there. And I thought about that. Wow, that's maybe true. There was some sort of destiny involved here. Seriously, though, I've heard so many things that have inspired me in these dark times. I mean, these are difficult times in the world, not just COVID, but war, conflict, poverty, and many of the things that we heard about tonight, the hardship at the grassroots level. But I take hope and I take solace and I take joy. I take joy in the themes and the fellowship. The idea of inclusivity, of equity, and joy, the joy in that, the compassion in that is so wonderful. I've worked for about 12 years now with a group of communities in the Nilgiris, and these are tribal groups. The Irula and the Kurumba are the 2 groups I've worked the most with. One of the things that resonates with what we've done there that I heard a lot tonight was really the idea of creating future leaders within the community. To make it sustainable, it has to be taken up. The stakeholdership has to be taken up within the community, and that can be done through partnerships, educational partnerships in particular. What we've done in this program is we take Cornell students, a handful of them, not too many, we don't want to overwhelm the hills, a handful of them we take to the Nilgiris and we pair them with community member students from the tribal community who are of the college age. And they do a course together for either 5 or 15 weeks. But when they do this course, they do research on themes that have been selected by the indigenous communities. They are not imposing their research agenda on the communities. They go and do a focus group with the tribal advisory councils, and they choose what's important, what these communities aspire to. And then our Cornell students are put in the position of learning from their colleagues, the students from the tribal community. So they're humbled, but they're learning. And this leads to a couple important points. The tribal students are learning skills from the disciplines that we impart. In my case, it's anthropology and sociology and psychiatry, mental health research, etc. But we cover a whole range of topics, and the indigenous community students want this knowledge. They want the outside knowledge that they were deprived of because of some of the factors we've heard about tonight. Discrimination, not being comfortable in the government schools. They're hungry and thirsting for this knowledge. On the one hand, and on the other hand, we respect their culture more when we are sitting at their feet and learning from them. We are learning that their culture has things within it that are of great value in terms of good climate stewardship, better forest management, interspecies relationships with the animal world. All these things are handled better in the traditional tribal societies than what has been imposed upon them with plantation economies, urbanization, waste and water, toxicity coming into the environment, and of course, climate change. We did it. We are the ones doing it, not them. So I guess I don't want to carry on and on. I could talk all night about this because it's very dear to my heart. But what we have to see is that the solutions at the local level have to be taken up by local people, and they have to be sustainable. And the way they're made sustainable is to make them culturally meaningful. So one of the projects that comes out of that in that spirit is to create community health workers as the frontline health workers in the tribal communities. And I saw some of that yesterday on our field trip as well, that kind of approach. But the idea really is that you are training people from within the community, and these happen to be the students who do the program, to go out and be the bridge the bridge between their world and the outside world, between, say, biomedical care and traditional medicine. And that involves mutual respect on both sides. It involves bridging the understandings of the traditional to the modern, our appreciation of their knowledge, not belittling, not looking down, not patronizing local knowledge, local beliefs, local values, because there's much within it that is of great value. Their myths, their stories, their ideas about nature and animals and the ancestors, it's all about reciprocity. It's about fulfilling your obligations to life in general. And what has disrupted it isn't of their own doing, but they sometimes blame themselves. They've internalized these stigmas. This is a critical thing that has to be reversed. It can be reversed by showing how much we respect and want to learn from the communities we engage with. So that's very important that we also just realize then that every society harbors knowledge and aspirations. Every society, even the most depressed looking society where you have severe problems like addiction, conflict, familial violence, things of that nature that look so depressing, you still can find a little spark. And I saw it in the children's eyes in the Shabar village yesterday, that hope, that aspiration. But even in the traditional knowledge that the elders carry and hopefully still can contain in some way, there's important solutions to be found to the problems that they face. We just have to listen and be partners, not patrons. We don't want to create patron-client ties. That happens too much in the NGO world. The funding comes in, then we decide what the agenda will be, and then we report to the donor back in the US or in the EU. That's not always very effective. There's a lot of waste involved in that and a lot of cultural misunderstanding, and people are not listened to at the grassroots level in that way. It has to be respect and knowing that every society harbors the solutions from within themselves. That means one size does not fit all. We know that. We've been hearing all day about sort of scaling up from the grassroots. And this is a critical moment when it's possible. It really is possible. I've been working with another organization called the Banyan in Chennai, and we've actually created new policy that's been accepted by the Tamil Nadu government. I can't go into detail, but also in Meghalaya now. So the idea that grassroots organizations can design policies which the governments then implement is very real. It's not just because of scarcity of resources, it's because people are learning to think outside the box. Lastly, I just want to again thank you for the warmth and hospitality that I've received, incredible hospitality. I am so grateful to be brought here by my good colleague and my wonderful host, Madam Bharati and Ranjana. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm sorry I carried on, but I just was so excited I couldn't help myself.
Thank you very much.
Overwhelmed really, and hardly can say anything. But I'd like to say that we visited this the Project Hope that you people are doing with the Sabar tribal villages. It was quite an experience because there we saw, of course, excitement in the eyes of the children, more excitement among us. But what was interesting is the way the children were being taught. And very clearly, the people who were organizing it were saying that we teach the children with games and doing live projects. So these children had created all the alphabets, and they're like 5 years old, 6 years old children, and in English, from mud and clay. And they were sitting there with this mud, and they were making these alphabets, and some of us went around testing them quite a lot, pointing out each alphabet and asking what is it, and no one missed a single alphabet. They knew every alphabet, A to Z. So that's part of the thing, because the national education policy is now talking a lot about project-based learning. This morning was a fantastic display of project-based learning in your school projects. Every single class and every single child's project, we simply didn't have enough time to go and look at them. But I think that was really a wonderful experience. So both at the grassroots level as well as it in your own school, and I'm sure you're trying it out in all the schools. Now the question that arises, unfortunately, we are economists, and on that also I'd like to say that one of the children was looking at, the first project we saw on SGDs, they were looking at SGD 8. Now that's what I work on all the time, employment, livelihoods, growth, poverty. And she was showing SGD, before SGD and after SGD. And as economists, we have, this is a problem, that is a problem, everything is a problem. And she had such a positive view after SGD. Everything is going to be hunky-dory. And even gender differences in occupations and employment is going to go away. Well, I was very impressed, and I said, yes, keep the view in that fashion, and maybe we'll go somewhere. Now it's a question of scaling up. I think I don't have any suggestions. You people are scaling up in your own way in various ways. But one of the things that I would say, which we feel we use it in our university, I'm at Ahmedabad University in Ahmedabad, in Gujarat, is to bring in, say, college students. Like, I think he was giving a very good example of Cornell University students. But you have local colleges. Bring in local colleges and get them to do projects with you so that they get the idea that such things can be done, and maybe we can hope that in future they will work with you or set up their own, because India is just simply too big a country, and government can scale, but it's not quite doing it. So it just gets left to a lot of the people's initiatives, and people's initiatives are extremely important. We don't just sit down and say the government is going to take care of everything. So I think I'll stop here because I don't have too much more to tell you or any knowledge to share. Thank you all, and congratulations for your wonderful work today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Unni. And you are rightly said few things, and even I would say my skepticism that sometime I also say when Ranjana's and the Nanritam brings up those aspiring projects, we're going to do this. So are you going to do that? My skeptical mind, my corporate training starts calculating. But believe me, 2 plus 2 is 4, I knew, but 2 plus 2 is 22 can happen in Nanritam. It has happened. Essentially, it is always about we can do it. Come to the field, we'll find out. Innovation cannot come from top. That's my lesson. It happens. And coming back to the practicality of your suggestion, absolutely great suggestion. But many times I found, I don't know to say, it's a great suggestion. I found that, if we do that, how that would happen? Oh, we are doing it. So here is again, we are actually taking local college students, the NSS groups and others, we bring them in the campus, we train them, we coach them, and then we use them as volunteers to spearhead and take our knowledge outside. As well as we are actually part of Education for All program. We're introducing or trying a new model called Edu Entrepreneurship, where we would empower this grassroots educated children, whoever, so that they can open their own tutorials and stuff like that to be the teacher, the first part teachers, the first interface, and we'll offer them all the materials we have, like we're giving the books, the training, the videos, the board, whatever, so that they can run almost like a franchisee. They'll get for free, and they can start running their own small models. But again, this is a great suggestion, but I'm just saying that good ideas come and it get assimilated very fast. One thing we continuously hear, and that's my lesson, first try. You might fail. Why are you bringing 5 different negative points first? Go try. Yes, one of will be successful in one, because you have to solve it. Do you have an option? The problem there. So you have to solve it. If that is not the way, let's find out what the other way. So again, government will not solve. No blame to anybody. Let's try our best. Thank you very much again. I know Al-Qadi is not new to this organization. Neither this is the first time, and he came here many years before I came, so I'll like to hear from her.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not new, but each time there's so many new things that I learn and discover about this place that for all practical purposes I'm new. I won't repeat what everyone has been saying about how overwhelmed we are, but what we've seen for the last 2 days from the children really has brought home to me again how much potential each child actually has that never gets realized because they don't have access to Nanritam. Really, it's amazing that each child had something to offer, whether it was culturally or in the projects that we saw. And so if we could really tap that potential, that's wonderful. And then, so that's Nanritam's wonderful educational initiatives. But I'm also very impressed by your operations research, the practical things. I want to just give one small example that someone mentioned in passing yesterday, how you use bus drivers to distribute your nutrition laddus. Now, that's such a small innovation, but you've created a way to rapidly transfer resources, degradable resources. Laddus don't last forever, to these hundreds of schools and thousands of children. So these are the small, very clever things that you do in addition to the compassion and the kindness that you have. And we are all very impressed. I just I was thinking hard of something new that I can suggest to you, because whatever we suggest you are already doing. So, but I did have a couple of things in mind. One is actually related to a bit to what Jivon was saying. I was thinking of these wonderful school children who've reached grade 9 and 10 and have become so proficient in whatever they're learning. Can you use them as some kind of junior NSS to be doing things in the community, is what I was wondering, because I'm sure they would love some opportunity for community work that uses what they've picked up in the school. And I was thinking of one particular example, because when the talk was going on about child marriage, and that's my I have a lot of interest in maternal and child health and marriage and education, etc. And I was thinking of one group of people. I hope you've missed out only so that I can say I thought of something new. I was thinking of one group of people that perhaps got left out, just like the children got left out of immunization because of COVID. Early marriage has, you are working on preventing early marriage, but many young women are already married, and they have been left out of this opportunity to get the kind of education and knowledge and health information, etc., that you are able to provide to the young women. So I was wondering if there's a kind of pairing possible with either your trained community people or these 9th and 10th graders with young women who are already married, so who are not part of a school system and who don't have that much time. They're running their homes, they have children, they have in-laws. But whether that's that's a group. We've got so much research showing how bad early marriage is for women and for children. But if they're already married, we can't unmarry them. So what can we do to have maybe classes for them, some kind of literacy classes using these wonderful books that you have, some kind of health education using all the trainers that you have, but basically just thinking about using the great knowledge that your students have and helping the lack of knowledge of these young women who got married off before they could acquire this kind of knowledge. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think
Thank you very much. I'll begin by saying that Kaushik had been telling me about Nanritam over the past few years, and he was sort of trying to encourage me to think in terms of coming here, visiting the place at least once. I have done that along with Nalini, and I must say this, before coming to Purulia, I had some imagination of what kind of place it might be. I went into the internet and I saw what kind of a place it is. I saw Kaushik mingling with the children, and beautiful videos of that, and beautiful pictures of the school also I saw. I must say that almost everything that I imagined about the place has been exceeded. Each individual aspect of the school that I thought of, the way how the students would be, the way how the school would be, the way how we would be received, and the way I would find the place, I have to say everything has been exceeded. And I thought I must mention this because it has been really to say that it's been a wonderful experience is, I think, really an understatement. the welcome that we have had, the things that we see, the nature of the flowers that one saw as one entered at 12 o'clock at night, day before yesterday, the quality of the flowers and the colors, the sharp colors and so forth. Which other school in India or anywhere else that I've been outside of India a long time back, and I've seen some schools, but a school with this kind of care, I have to confess, I do not think I've come across. I'm familiar with some of the schools in Delhi, and I have to say this, the nature of the instruction that you have been giving to your students, the experience that we've had since this morning, meeting the students, hearing about their projects, it's been absolutely, absolutely mind-blowing. And I have to say this, and I thought I must mention this. And thank you for this experience. Now, you do not give a bookish kind of sort of education to your students. That is absolutely clear. And the way students were able to sort of explain themselves, communicate with us was simply absolutely fantastic to hear from the students. So please keep it up. And what I would also say is that at the end of the day, what is important about this school is everywhere one goes, one sees the images of Ramakrishna and Vivekananda, and of course your immediate guru also. And I think that aspect of the school is also to be considered as being very important for me. And I think that deals with the issue of value that you try to impart to your students. You know, one knows of many schools in Delhi and elsewhere where students are getting top quality instruction. I'm sure of that. But I think somewhere along the way, the nature of the value or values that are being imparted to the students is somewhat less than one would ideally like. And what I find very pleasing about this school is the manner in which you are able to sort of impart that to the students, and I think that's a very positive thing, and that should be maintained. Because ultimately for me, it's not just what you teach students in terms of the techniques and mechanics of all the various subjects, maths and physics and so forth and so on. That's important too. I mean, we should not underplay that. It has to be there. But over and above that, the issue of the values that you are able to impart to the students, that is, I believe, very important. Now, I'll just mention one more point and then I'll close because I don't want to take too much time, and time is, I suppose, short. There was this beautiful presentation by Putuldi, which I really liked, and the title of this evening's talk I heard at one point was equity and inclusivity. And I thought I must mention this particular point, which is important for us in India right now. Because the notion of inclusivity, for me, is the most critical aspect of this particular country right now. I think in terms of most of the other indicators like growth rate of GDP and so forth, we're doing reasonably well. 7.3%, etc. is very good. Even if it goes down a notch to 6.5, that's not bad either. That's reasonably good. If we do slightly better, 8 point something, that too is good. But where I think the country needs to really seriously reflect, and all of us need to reflect, is the issue of equity, inclusivity, and let me mention the word secularism. That is absolutely important for this country. We do not want this country to be a majority religion country. No, and that is not the way in which this country was supposed to be. And so, and that is the theme for which we also were meeting this evening. So I thought that I should underline this particular fact. And what was beautiful about what Putuldi sang was the fact that it is a person of a particular religion, Islam, who is singing about Radha and Krishna, which is Hindu sort of gods and goddesses. And that is the beauty of so many aspects of this particular country. If you think of Drupad, possibly one of the purest vocal forms of classical music, you know, the family that dominates Drupad singing is the family of the Dagar brothers, present Dagar brothers, and their uncles and parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and so forth. For, I believe, some 15 generations, they've been Drupad singers. And there would, at any particular point in time, including now, there may be something like about a dozen or so major Drupad singers. Many of them not very well known, but they're there in different places, in Delhi, Jaipur, Bombay, and so forth. And the thing about Drupad is that Dagar brothers, they come from a Muslim community. But all the Drupad singing is about Hindu gods and goddesses. It's about Radha and Krishna. It is about Shiv. It is about Vishnu. And that is the nature of the secular aspect of this particular country. And if we need to think in terms of something like good days for the country in the decades and maybe centuries to come, we need to preserve that particular aspect of our country, which is secularism. So that's it. Thank you.
And our last visitors today, well, I'll be really quick. When Kaushik emailed me about this visit, I had no idea what I'm getting into. But since I'm here and I'm blown away by everything that I saw, I really feel that in Nanritam there's only one way in, and you can never get out of the family now. The only thing I think I would just like to tell students, I don't know how much I can share with you, but if ever you want to know or just talk to me about photography or architecture, feel free to contact me. I'm on WhatsApp, on Instagram, on email. So just feel free, okay? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I think the discussion is getting warming up, but the outside is getting colder, and I think we have to finish quickly, but still, we still go on for a few minutes, I think. Rumadi, I think you have something.
Well, I think I will be very short, and I will not waste any more time in thanking Nanritam. Well, I do not wish to thank Nanritam because I consider myself as a part of Nanritam. Well, the latest project of Nanritam, the Shabur community, simply impressed me so much because I had seen this community about 30 years back when they were outside the purview of a normal village. They were pushed outside on a barren piece of land with no land to till,
no water from the well was given to them, no water for cultivation, and they were simply outsiders labeled as a criminal society. And this society I've seen 30 years later. Now they have brick walls in their houses, they have water supply in their homes, but this improvement is only about 10%, I would say, because their lifestyle hasn't changed. They still don't take bath, they still don't take brush their teeth, and no occupation. Now, Nanritam is doing a wonderful job by bringing education and nutrition to the families. But the problems that we discussed today, child marriage, and you see, recently I visited similar community in eastern India, in Arunachal Pradesh, which is also very underdeveloped and gets no help. And this small community, what is happening is they have become self-sufficient in food, but they need education. So an NGO has set up a school and they are getting some sort of schooling. But now after the primary school or the middle school even, they have to migrate outside and they go to Delhi or Bengaluru or any such big city for education, and then they are lost in the job market. They go to Delhi or any other place and ultimately, or probably to USA, and they are lost to this small village forever. Because this small village is remaining just as it used to be earlier, without much of scope for these people to stay. And no real improvement is happening. I feel that until and unless we improve the economic condition of these people, also look at the economics of the people living in those villages, nothing effective will happen. There will be some students who will grow up and be very good and go out for higher education and will be lost in the job field and not come back to the village. This is just a question. I know the last speaker should always thank all the speakers and the organizers, but I've just posed a question and left it at that.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you everybody. We are almost at the end. We'll have two last things. One, Madam Hilda Peacock will summarize today's very lively discussions and interaction, and then we'll request Kaushik Da to put a few lines for us.
Even as we come to the end of this very beautiful and rather cold evening, I would like to place on record my deep, deep gratitude to Nanritam and Felix School for this opportunity of being here this evening, for being here over the past 2 or 3 days, and witnessing firsthand the wonderful work that is being done by everybody who is involved. I've been asked to sum up this evening's proceedings. Even as I sat here and listened to the stories that were told by so many of you, as a school teacher, I want to say, I have always said this and I continue to believe that the stories that we tell, the stories that we bring to the table, the stories that we share are really what make us. They seep into us. They help us to think. We internalize these stories, and that is exactly what has happened today. Even as we sat here, we've listened to stories, and my dear pupils and students who are sitting there, these are not the once upon a time happily ever after stories. These are not those stories. These are stories of struggle. These are stories of suffering and pain, and stories that have been shared by people who come from far away, people who are pained at looking at what was once snow-capped mountains turning into black rocks. These are stories of children who have walked 7 kilometers to reach a center where they may receive some education. These are stories of disadvantaged people, people who are broken, people who have so much that we take for granted, they look forward to as some kind of blessing. And yet these have been stories of hope. Every one of these stories has reminded us that the struggle is not over. Sometimes we fall, but we pick ourselves up and we dust ourselves off and we go on with it. We have listened to stories of compassion. We have listened to stories of sharing. Some of them gut-wrenching, heartbreaking stories. And above it all, there's one thing that stands, and that is the indomitable spirit of the survivor. Time and time again, we have heard of how there has been change, how there has been renewal, how there has been revival. And so we have heard, we have listened, and now what? Now we need to act. I was listening to the physics teacher this morning, and he said, enough of talking, enough of listening. The time has now come to act. We must translate what we have heard, what we have felt, and now we must do. I'd like to conclude with the words of Emma Watson. In her famous speech, she said, if not me, who? If not now, when? Good evening. Thank you.
You know, one advantage of going last is if you take away a little bit from what everybody else has said, you'll costlessly manage to give a full talk just by repeating other people. I'm very tempted to do that. Also because I feel so much in resonance with the school, with all the speakers that spoke, very much a similar message coming out. I have to say, just feel wonderful. Just now Nipun used the word feeling blown away. I should not feel that way because I've been coming here for a while, I've seen this place, but I do feel blown away by the experience. First of all, there is the intellectual part of it. I feel the way education is being done in today's world, where the creative element is the most important, and to find that, which you'll have to look for a school in New York, London, Delhi, which tries to do something similar. To find this in Para, Purulia, this kind of creative enterprise and effort by the students is just absolutely heartening. So feel wonderful about that. The other message which was coming out very clearly, which Pulin touches on, everybody is touching on, this, you know, this sense of universalism, that human beings basically are so many things in common, that we divide ourselves so unnecessarily. That message also comes out from what you people are speaking about, what the little bits of messages coming out. Yes, the Pottochitro stories that was being displayed. Asma talking about women's empowerment. These are very strong messages. I'll just tell you one little personal experience and I'll stop with that. Years ago, I was in southern Mexico, spent 3 days with the local Zapotec family. Zapotec are the natives of that place. Relatively poor household. They gave us, 2-3 of us who were there, their prayer room to sleep in. There was no bed. They put mats and all, and this is a Christian place, so there was Christ and all, but mats were given for us. We slept. In the first 2 days, I was thinking this is the most alien place I've been in. The people are different. I live in America. I'm from India. But this is totally different, these people. But by the end of the third day, listening to the mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, the children laughing, little bits of quarrels taking place, in the end, I could not help feeling that, you know, we are so similar, the human beings. Fundamentally, we are the same, and all these divisions are so unnecessary. And that's really also the message. If you read Ramakrishna carefully, if you read Vivekananda carefully, that universalist message comes out. It's not this religion or that religion, this gender or that gender. It's the commonness of human beings. And I can only echo that in these times when you do feel occasionally pessimistic, just these 3 days. I know I've become too optimistic again. I'll get corrected in a few days when I go back into the world. But I do feel optimistic. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks again to all the participants. We have just seen that our students are there to end the session with a song by themselves. And again, I think, just to add, that even if I was just thinking a little bit, imagine this discussion is happening and organized by a school, not by any elite university or anywhere else in a far remote corner in Para Purulia. Such a discussion is taking place in front of the students. I think they are lucky, we are lucky. We'll all remember this, because this itself will add to our journey. And as Hilda ma'am has correctly summarized, our journey will never end. We'll continue in the positive path. There will be difficulties, but we'll find ways. Thank you.
Make me a channel of your peace. When there is hatred, let me bring your love. When there is injury, oh pardon, Lord. And where there is doubt, oh faith in you. Oh Master, grant that I may never say so much to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love with all my soul. Make me a channel of your peace. When there's despair in life, let me bring hope. When there is darkness, only light. And when there is sadness, ever joy. Oh Master, grant that I may never sing so much to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love with all my soul.